Welcome to Travolting, hosted by Jeff Sweeney and Stuart Elmore. Look who's talking. Enjoy the episode.
Hey, Jeff.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Travolting. Thank you all for listening last week to our episode on The Experts. We have definitely already recorded that episode. It's a great one. You guys are going to love it. We have a lot of fun conversations.
It's a great episode.
Yeah, it's a great episode. You guys are going to love it.
Oh, boy.
We recorded it. Yeah.
We recorded it right before this one.
Yes.
It lasted 12 hours.
Yes, it was a 12-hour episode. But no, this week we're not talking about The Experts. This week we're talking about Look Who's Talking. And as always, I am Jeff Sweeney.
Oh, we're doing intros in this one.
Yeah.
Because we have a special guest.
Yes.
I'm Stuart Elmore.
And look who's talking with us today.
It's Marygrace Schumann.
Yes. It is the one of our oldest supporters.
True.
Daughter of one of our previous guests, one of your favorites, Kathy Schumann of the Grease episode.
Happy to be here.
The iconic piece of work.
I just got to ask, so why this movie? You have all the Travolta movies you could have guessed starred on.
Right. So first off, there's some other movies I maybe would have preferred, but you guys had other people. Right. I mean, everybody wants to do Hairspray.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody wants to do Hairspray.
Does everyone want? Do we have somebody on Hairspray?
We had like 5 people ask to do Hairspray.
Hairspray is very popular.
Yeah.
That probably would have been my number one. I also would have loved to do Grease, but
You got scooped by your mom.
Yeah, by my own mother. Look Who's Talking, I felt I have a past with it, a history with it, and I felt not a lot of other people do.
Yeah.
So, was it my first choice? No, but I felt it was the best choice. It was the choice that made the most sense for you guys and for me. I felt I had things to say about it. I have some thoughts about its relation to Scientology.
Yeah, we've been dancing around the topic of Scientology for 13 weeks now.
I mean, when we get to Battlefield Earth, we can't avoid it anymore.
No, it's not that necessarily that we've been trying to avoid. It's just that none of these movies have really had an in to let us talk about it.
Well, Staying Alive is totally Scientology propaganda.
Save the Devil's Reign, maybe, because that's where he got the Dianetics book.
Yeah.
But no, this is the first one we're really going to have an opportunity to open the book of Dianetics
and see Look Who's Talking about Scientology.
Yeah, if we don't post an episode next week, assume that they got to us.
You could find me here. Let's just give our addresses right now so people can check on us.
I'm going to wake up tonight and just see a shadow across the room. Tom Cruise walks up to me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we love to see it.
It's like that rant of him on the set with the COVID protocols. He's like, "You dumb mother!
I'm not letting this get shut down.
I'm on the phone every night with Hollywood."
I mean, we love Tom Cruise. He's keeping the industry alive.
He's single-handedly climbing buildings and keeping us all employed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have Tom Cruise on this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard.
You know that?
Cool. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we've told you guys yet, but Tom Cruise is coming on for an episode about our friend Martin.
I don't know if we even told Tom Cruise's agent about this.
Yeah.
So
Tom actually doesn't even know.
Well, I think I told him about it.
You told him?
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, as long as he shows up.
Yeah, as long as he shows up. But we're going to talk about our good friend Martin.
Yes.
Wow.
Our friend Martin.
It's very exciting.
Yeah. Yes.
Not White Man's Burden.
Yes, we're talking about, but we're not talking about our friend Martin this week.
Or White Man's Burden.
Nice segue.
Or White Man's Burden. 2 movies that I'm so excited to talk about in the future.
Me too.
Because we are 2 very, capable people discussing those movies.
Not what I thought you were going to say, but good save.
Yes. So this week we're Look Who's Talking about Look Who's Talking.
How many of these are we going to do?
It's going to get old really quick, guys.
Literally the whole episode.
This is becoming the Brian De Palma 1976 Carrie bit all over again.
Yes. Look Who's Talking, a 1989 film Now let's do a little bit of context corner over here.
Yeah.
Kind of bring us up to speed with where you last left you off on the experts. Because we definitely know what we talked about on that episode.
Yeah, he did that the same year as Look Who's Talking.
So pretty much Travolta, he had his heyday in the 70s.
Yeah.
Kind of capped it with Blowout, which blew out the box office.
Yeah, should we really
way.
say that he capped out with that one? Because as much of a good movie as it is, it did tank his career.
He capped out as in like he got to the top of the mountain, thought that was the peak, and turned to be a cliff.
Okay.
But he does his little 3-part comeback tour that ends up just digging him deeper into the hole.
Yeah.
Things aren't working out so well for him after Perfect. He takes a break. Also,
he does a play in between.
Yes, he does a play.
Play?
Basements of the Dumbwaiter.
Dumbwaiter.
The best movie we've ever covered on this podcast.
The best episode that I think we should just conceal for our Patreon page, to be honest.
It's our only episode that's longer than the movie itself.
Wow.
Yeah, we went about an hour and 20 minutes on that one.
Yeah, he has about, if you don't count Basements or The Dumbwaiter, he has about a 5-year period of time where he's not working in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
He probably wants to take a step back, and at the same time, there's not really anyone who wants to work with him.
Yeah.
Because he's a bit of a they kind of seem as a bit of a has-been.
Right.
For some stuff that I read. His last few movies were all flops. He couldn't get the old magic back. Pretty much during that 5-year period of time, he's best known for dancing with Princess Diana at the White House.
Oh.
That's his most notable thing he does for about 5 years.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, she had a dress called the Travolta dress.
Oh, wow.
Look how you switched to past tense there in correction.
I mean, she's Princess Died, so.
Okay. No.
If Corey's listening, he just turned it off.
Yeah, he just turned off the episode.
Yeah, I'm just hitting the record button here.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Look Who's Talking.
Yeah. Well, he comes back in 1989. Comes back with air quotes that I did not do.
Yeah.
With the experts. Another attempt to kind of capture his Grease, I'm rebel without a cause guy, except he's in his 30s now.
Yeah.
Not really hyper successful with that one.
Right.
And he does Look Who's Talking, a family comedy by
Hold on.
in quotes.
We're gonna stop right there.
a family comedy.
A family comedy.
Yes, this is this movie is marketed, sold as a family comedy. We're gonna talk very soon about what the opening shot of this movie is.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to paint a very vivid picture throughout this episode about the family movie night with your 7-year-old Johnny and 6-year-old Lucy.
Yes.
It's going to be interesting.
But this movie, written and directed by Amy Heckerling, who is also the writer and director of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Clueless,
Wow.
Oh.
European Vacation.
Okay.
So she's a fairly successful director. She was one of the few super successful women in Hollywood in the 80s.
Yeah.
Who kind of forged a path.
Not Jane Wagner from Momo.
Not Jane, who only directed that one movie.
Who only did that one movie.
Did you say she wrote and directed it?
Yes, she wrote it.
Okay.
And she
Interesting.
wrote this
A
film.
woman wrote this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have guessed that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
She was inspired to write this film after her husband, this is just reading off the IMDb trivia page, after her husband and writer Neil Israel started playfully taking and talking in a different voice to pretend what their new baby would say. So her husband just started talking with the baby, and she was like,
You started doing narration stuff.
That's a movie.
That's literally all the Vines and TikToks I can think of.
She pitched this movie to Disney. Disney thought it was too sexual for them.
They were right.
Yeah,
They
very
passed.
fair.
They passed it off to TriStar, who ended up making it.
The same studio that would later go on to make the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies.
Yes, TriStar, great company.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are they doing much anything now?
I have no idea. All I know is that they have a Pegasus as their logo.
Right.
Oh, that now I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, the Pegasus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the one. It always comes after the Columbia Statue of Liberty.
You
Yeah.
don't see the Pegasus that much anymore.
Yeah, I think
that
it's
was very I remember the Pegasus growing up.
Much like Travolta in 1989, I think TriStar is a bit of a has-been right now.
Oh man.
No, he's gonna have a comeback. I don't mind roasting him now. It's fine.
I mind roasting TriStar. You just care about those dudes' feelings.
But this movie is interesting in that respect that Amy Heckerling was one of the few women who in the 80s had something of a blank check in Hollywood and could kind of write, direct, greenlight her own movie. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that this is the movie that gets made out of that.
And I mean, we're gonna get there, but not only write, direct, greenlight this movie,
Make 2 sequels,
but make 2 fucking sequels to this movie.
I haven't seen either.
This
of
is
them
a
ever.
trilogy of films.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're gonna talk about all 3 of these goddamn movies.
Aren't you so excited?
Excited.
One of them they made right after this because the sequel comes out in 90, right?
Yes.
So like that meant, was it even released and they started working on the sequel?
I believe it was like pretty much an immediate thing.
Like as soon as it was released that weekend,
They're like, let's
TriStar
start cooking.
CEO calls up. What did Amy Heckerling do the sequel, or did somebody else do it?
Amy Heckerling did both sequels.
Did both sequels. So TriStar CEO, as soon as it opens, calls Amy Heckerling and say, "We got to make 2 more of these.
We need 2. We need 2. Look who's talking. 2.
It did well. I assume it did well at the box office.
This
then,
movie
right?
did extremely well at the box office, especially for only being made on a $7 million budget.
That surprises me, the $7 million budget one, because it is a decent cast, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Well,
mostly like,
I guess it's like TV series like people.
yeah, it's a bunch of people who had been big a few years prior, and then also Abe Vigoda's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's alive.
He's alive.
He's dead now.
You know, Bruce Willis is in this movie.
Bruce Willis is
He
in this
is.
movie.
And-
How is Bruce Willis in this movie, man?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
No,
the movie,
that's what I'm
some
saying.
would say.
He is in this. He is in this movie.
And we're going to see where he's talking in a minute.
Yeah, we're gonna look
was a
where
good one.
Bruce is talking.
We're going to see where he's talking because, hint, hint, it's not on screen.
Yeah. You know, prior to this, the only Bruce Willis voiceover role I can think of having seen was Rugrats Go Wild, where he voices Spike the dog.
I have not seen that.
It's so weird that Bruce Willis always sounds like depressed when he's on screen. Like he's always just talking like this, Bruce Willis.
Well, he used to be a comedy TV actor.
It's so
That's
weird.
what he did before
It's
Die
so
Hard.
weird.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis makes no sense.
He doesn't make any sense.
When we do the Willy
He
cast,
has layers.
that's what we're
The Willie cast. No. We still got to do the Stallone Zone, the Laurie cast,
the Chloe Grace
Oh, wow.
Moretz cast.
the cage match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You, me, and Matt Damon.
There's a lot. You
Wow,
and
lots
Matt
going
Damon.
on.
That's my favorite one. Was you, me, and Matt Damon. That's the one that we picked.
Matt Damon.
The poster would just be you and me smiling with Matt Damon in between us.
Yes. I think it'll be amazing.
Yes. But shall we dive in?
Oh, God.
Because this movie starts with quite a dive.
Yeah, I guess we can. We
Yeah.
get started. I mean, just to recap, Amy Heckerling's writing, directing. Travolta at this time is 35 years old.
Yes.
And then Kirstie Alley, who
Yes.
I would say is more of the protagonist of this movie than John Travolta is.
Yeah,
Even though
yeah.
Travolta's billed first, which I guess Sex Up in Hollywood, but like he's not really the protagonist. It's
Yeah,
more-
she
he's present.
yeah. So,
this
but she is 38, 39. She's older than John Travolta.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
mean,
I know that.
it continues Travolta's streak of typically working with older women as his co-stars.
Right. Which is why
Hmm.
we mentioned on the Perfect episode where, I mean, the Perfect episode because we talked about Perfect and the episode was perfect.
It was a perfect episode.
It was a perfect episode, but his chemistry with Jamie Lee Curtis, who was younger than him, not considerably younger, right?
Not considerably, no.
But still really good chemistry. Whereas this, he's going back to dating older women in movies. And chemistry in this one is not that good, in my opinion.
I kind of like this movie.
What do you think, Mary Grace?
I mean, I enjoy this movie. I mean, I think his chemistry with the child is probably better than his chemistry with her.
Okay, I'm going to get into that because it's almost too good.
Oh, God.
Yes.
No, like
We're going to get into that. John Travolta's chemistry with... There's a child in this movie, a very prominent child in this movie, and John Travolta bonds with this child, and I just see some red flags. And
Oh,
we're gonna
wow.
talk-
It's going to get dark.
We're going to get dark. I have things to talk about, and I'm excited to get started. But, Jeff, would you like to visually paint us the opening scene of this movie?
Yes. So we begin in the uterus.
Where all good stories start.
All good.
Wait, we got to call back the Boy the Plastic Bubble. What's it called? begin the cesarean.
So we begin in the uterus. The uterus.
The uterus.
There's all the tendrils. I don't know exactly what they're called.
Yeah.
The tendrils.
I picked the perfect time to take a drink of coffee.
They're
while
like waving back and
Like a
forth.
sound effect.
Like waving back and forth. And then who should enter? Who should enter?
An egg.
An egg. Not your garden variety chicken egg that you had for breakfast this morning.
No, this
No.
would be.
This
Not
is
in the uterus.
this is a human egg.
Yes.
That's
it
what's
is-
usually in an uterus.
It is.
Are we going to call it an uterus the rest of this
Yes,
episode?
I am.
I think
It's
we should.
bouncing around. It's making its way through the pipes.
And just to clarify the audience, this egg is not talking.
This egg is not talking.
No.
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 But we do get
Look who's not talking.
anatomy parts later.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
But this egg is not talking.
this egg finally comes to rest.
Yeah.
In another part of in the uterus.
Yes.
And then we leave said uterus.
We begin the fertile period.
Yeah, and it starts on a shot of a lava lamp, making you think, "Oh, that was just a fake out." But no, it was not a fake out.
It was not a fake out. This
No.
is actually so
Certainly
important
not.
for the movie.
This movie is
Yeah.
just drawing a comparison between, sex and lava lamps.
So, first off, Mary
Yeah.
Grace, your reactions to this opening.
Well, I knew what was coming, so I really had no reaction.
We all knew what was coming.
I don't know. I really had.
Sorry.
I'm leaving this room.
I didn't really have a reaction to that stuff until we started, which we'll get to, until we saw the fetus and what the fetus looked like.
I think they borrowed the puppet from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
It was terrifying. But I really had absolutely zero reaction. I was just like, "Yep, this is how Look Who's Talking
This
starts."
is how
cool.
Look Who's Talking starts.
Yeah.
My first thing was this is a family movie.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh,
Well, I'm glad you said that, Jeff, because I'm going to go back to my visual painting of you're in the movie store, Blockbuster Video, okay?
the year is 2003.
The year is 2003, and you are a 45-year-old dude who works at a sales company, married for however many years, 2 kids, 7-year-old boy Jimmy, 4-year-old Lucy. You're going to Blockbuster for family movie night,
Yep.
and you're tired. You've pulled a double this shift, and then Jimmy walks up to you and holds up Look Who's Talking, and you're just so tired, and you're like, "Fuck, yeah, it's a family movie. Just pick it. Okay, go." You scan your Blockbuster card, you go home, you put it in the VHS, the VCR player. You all sit on the family couch together.
Mm-hmm.
Mom got a bucket of popcorn ready. You got your beer because it's time to zone out of this movie. Then the movie starts. And an egg goes down a uterus. And Jimmy and Lucy just immediately look at you and they're like, "What is that?" And so
It's a lava lamp.
It's a lava lamp.
It's a lava
absolutely.
lamp.
I wonder what my parents told me.
Right. So
don't know.
this is going to be
that is a real question. I'm curious.
Yeah, because
is gonna be
a real life scenario that
Yes.
you just.
this is going to be a concurring theme throughout this episode because there are many of these moments that I imagine happened across America in 2003.
This movie
Yeah,
is
and my
oddly
house
rated
was one of them.
PG-13.
It is rated PG-13.
But if you look at
Oh.
any marketing for this, it's a baby, it's colorful font, big letters. This is marketed as a family movie.
Yes.
There's babies and dogs on the poster as well.
Yeah.
It starts like this.
And it starts like this.
Now they
So-
could say, "Well, it's rated PG-13," but no.
No. You did this to
Yeah,
yourselves.
No, we didn't. People did not do this themselves. This is very clearly designed to be a comedy for the whole family.
So the egg is going down the uterus, and
Yes.
Jimmy is the first one to look at you and be like, "Dad, what's that?" What's your answer, Jeff?
My answer would be, "Shut up and watch the movie."
Mary Grace, what's your answer to Jimmy asking what that is?
It's a lava lamp.
It's a lava lamp.
It's a lava lamp. This
right.
is what happens inside. This is how a lava lamp is made.
And the lava lamp, if you were to say that, it would sell for at least 2 more minutes. As we zoom out and we meet Molly,
Yeah.
played by Kirstie Alley, and Albert, voiced by the recently departed George Seal. He
Yes.
passed away like 3 days ago.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Just
sad.
learned in the
Very
car
sad.
that he died.
Sorry,
it's
I don't
very
want to.
sad.
I don't want to leave the uterus yet, but why is it
uterus.
blue?
We got to go back into the uterus.
Because it's blue.
Yes, it is blue.
Like
Yeah.
why?
It's possible that Amy Heckerling just liked the color.
That
she's
uterus
Because
she's
it's a boy. Because it's going to be a boy.
Oh,
she's a colorful director, and I actually kind of like how this movie's directed. I think there's fun energy to how the camera is placed, how it moves, how the characters move, and how things look.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fun. But Anyway, we leave the blue uterus. We meet these two characters. She's an accountant.
She is an accountant.
He is the CEO, I think, of a company.
Yeah, and he's
called Chubby Charles.
Oh yeah, it is called
Yeah.
Chubby Charles.
What is it?
Don't know what it is.
It's like a food.
I think
fast
it's
food
a
or something.
Chuck E. Cheese spinoff.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't want to use Chuck E. Cheese, so they use Chubby Charles.
Gotcha.
instead of a giant mouse
It's a
animatronic.
fat rat.
It's a fat rat named Charles who visits you in the night,
It's just like
kidnaps babies if you
Yeah.
aren't good.
No,
Surprise! It's John Travolta.
yeah. You walk into Chubby Charles and there's just this like huge rat up on the stage. With the voice of Don Rickles, just telling like old comedy bits that like the kids aren't gonna get.
Has anyone played Five Nights at Freddy's, the horror game?
I am an adult, and no, I have not.
No, I have not.
It's basically like, what if the animatronics at Chuck E. Cheese were alive and like were murderous?
That's disturbing because some of my third graders have played this game.
Yes.
So I don't love that.
And I'm imagining Chubby Charles.
Marygrace is a teacher, by the way, folks.
Oh yeah.
Some of my kids have played that game, so that disturbs me.
Yeah,
I'll
right?
talk about it.
So
So
Chubby
I
Charles.
don't love that. I wish I didn't know that.
They should be playing Five Nights at Chubby Charles,
It'd just be Don Rickles.
and it's the fetus baby chasing you
That's more
with
terrifying.
Bruce Willis' voice. But
So
yeah.
we're in the workplace.
Yes. And they're having an affair.
Yes.
Yes.
Albert's having an affair with his accountant.
Accountant.
Yes.
Not secretary.
Not
his
his
accountant.
not his wife Beth.
No.
He is
She
married.
sounds awesome. I love his
Yeah.
wife, Beth. She sounds great.
She sounds really awesome.
Doesn't she sound so fun?
Doesn't sound like she deserved any of what happened
No,
in this movie.
like she does belly dancing. She like talks to the dead. Like it's like she sounds so fun.
And you know what, Mary Grace? I don't think Beth is real.
What?
I think Albert made up
up
Beth. I think it's all made up. I think Albert is a delusional schizophrenic.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lot of takes on this movie coming up.
Yeah. There's lots of conspiracy.
I'm the one
theories.
over here who's gonna be like, "This is a fun family comedy." 3 out of 5, and you guys are gonna be like, "L. Ron Hubbard and schizophrenia."
John Travolta in this movie is a troubled man.
Yes, he's having some problems.
having some problems.
It takes like 20 minutes for him to come into this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because first, she's like, "You need to leave Beth because I'm tired of all the secrecy.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't bringing me into your life." And he's like, "Well, I have kids. I need to find the right time to divorce her and all that."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "See, look, I filed some papers or something like that." And they just go to town on each other.
well,
Can
you forgot the quote.
Oh, what's the quote?
It says, "If I don't kiss you, I'm going to burst."
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of these
That's one of-
quotes in this movie.
There's lots of things in here that should make me uncomfortable and like cringe, but that was the one thing that every time he said that I was like,
Yeah, so
And he says it like,
please don't.
"If I don't kiss you, I'm going to burst."
yeah.
Can I backtrack for a little bit?
Yeah.
Because I have two things to say about not the beginning, the uterus, but right after the uterus. I have lots of things to say. So I'm sorry, because I'm sure you guys don't care about this, but about the fashion in this
Yes.
movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, like, they're very 80s, but then the baby's very 90s. I don't know. But in that first shot, when he, like, rips her dress open, why is she wearing what looks like a bathing suit top instead of a bra? Did you guys notice that?
I did not.
I did not notice that.
She's wearing, like, a bathing suit top. Is this part of it trying to be family friendly? They're like, she can't have a bra on, so she's going to have a bathing
That's
suit
possible.
top?
It's interesting. Yeah.
But then there's a scene later where her and John Travolta are getting,
are getting into it.
yeah.
And she
definitely has
has
a normal
definitely
bra
a normal
on.
bra.
Yeah.
It is like a bathing suit.
Yes.
Now,
Maybe
as
she
I
was
think
going to
about
the
it
maybe
more.
she was going to the
It's like,
swim club.
it's like it's black and it's got like patterns on
Yes,
it.
it's like looks like a bathing suit top.
Definitely not a bra.
No. Okay, I'm sorry. You can
No,
continue.
I think she was
interesting.
going to the swim club after this.
What?
I think she was going to the swim club.
She could have been.
after
She's a
this.
very interesting person.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe.
But
she has layers.
yes, she
Yeah.
does.
She's an accountant.
But with an apartment that looks like that, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love in these movies where people have like massive apartments and they're like, I'm so down on my luck right now.
Oh man.
Yeah, they go to town.
They have sex.
Yes, they have
Yes,
sex.
they have sex.
And then we re-enter the uterus.
Well, you forgot how graphic it was in the movie.
we meet our friend.
I'm just joking. It's not graphic in the movie. They cut away right after.
We cut back to the egg, and then we just start hearing voices. We hear a lot of
This is where it
voices.
gets
I
going.
hear insemination scene. ... The
can't-
sperm are talking.
The camera pans up, and there's hundreds of sperm.
Yes. So many.
They're like swimming
And-
through these fallopian tubes. They're going for it.
And they're all like, "Woo, yeah!"
Yeah, they're like,
here
"Yeah,
we go,
we're free, here we go, yeah,
all
great time."
all right,
And there's one of them. There's one of them who's like really hyped up, and he's got a little bit of a New York accent going on.
Who is this
It
gentleman?
is Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis
as the sperm.
is the sperm.
He's like, "Yeah, come on, guys, I'm going in.
I'm
yeah.
going in, I'm wiggling in there."
And he like goes up to the egg and he like cuts a little hole in it. And he's like, "I'm going in. He like he wiggles his way
Yeah,
in.
and he's like, wiggle, wiggle.
Yeah.
wiggle, and
And he makes it in. He's like, "It's great in here. It's so warm." Then we go back out,
I'm sorry.
and Kirstie Alley vomiting into a
Vomiting in the
toilet.
toilet.
Yeah.
It like just cuts to her vomiting in a toilet.
So, okay, here I have thoughts.
Okay, let's hear.
Because I did not know what this movie's about. I went into it blind.
Wow.
And
Okay.
when I first saw this, I thought, oh, the baby's growing faster than normal. And so I thought she when it got through all the montages of her changing in pregnancy, I thought her baby's coming next week. And I thought Bruce Willis was gonna I went into this movie blind. I had no idea.
Thought she was going to give birth to Bruce Willis.
to Bruce Willis.
So here's the thing. The baby in this movie do be kind of looking like Bruce Willis. The baby in this movie kind of looks a lot like Bruce Willis.
I definitely think they casted babies that looked like Bruce Willis when Bruce Willis was a kid.
They apparently asked pretty much every famous comedian in Hollywood to voice this baby, and everyone said no except for Bruce Willis.
Wait, who else did they ask?
I saw Bill Murray, Chevy Chase,
Okay.
John Candy.
John Candy.
Imagine John Candy.
I think it had to be Bruce Willis.
It has
to be. I think it had to be Bruce Willis.
This is the most iconic casting choice. It's like Heath Ledger as the Joker, and then Bruce Willis as the baby as Mikey.
Yeah, I can't dispute that one. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
She's vomiting.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a montage of her getting sick and having cravings, and then she's finally takes an at-home pregnancy test.
and it
It comes back
cuts to
positive.
yeah, and she's at her doctor, and that's when I wrote down the amazing quote: "Your biological clock is ticking."
Yeah, we cut to the doctor, played by Don Davis, who was in Twin Peaks as a Major Briggs.
I'm glad you knew that because I
He
did
is
not.
he is amazing in Twin Peaks. He's like this military general who walks around a full suit the entire show. Always offers profound quotes.
Should we just
Yeah,
talk
he's
about
good.
Twin Peaks? in this
Sure.
episode?
The Peaks cast.
We did talk about Toy Story 4 in the
We
Basements
spent
episode.
20 minutes talking about Toy Story.
Yeah. There just wasn't a lot to talk about with Basements.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot to talk about here.
there's
so
a lot
we have
to talk-
a lot
there's a lot
of
to
ground
talk
to
about
cover,
here.
so I don't think we have time for.
Don
Twin
Davis
Peaks.
is there, and he says, he says the biological clock is ticking.
Yeah, it feels like she's, at least in my mind, pressured to have this baby. It's
Yes.
it's I mean, I wouldn't say they don't, because I'm thinking 1989, abortion's legal, but it's obviously it's still a very religious community at the time in America. But they don't.
Ronald Reagan's still president. when
Exactly.
this movie.
Well, actually, no, he wouldn't be president.
No, he was-
Terminated in 88.
The election was in 88, and he started. Bush would have started beginning in 89.
Yeah.
This movie was filmed in 88.
89.
Okay, would have been filmed during the last year of Reagan
Regardless, there
administration.
wasn't really much of a difference between
Yeah.
Reagan and H.W. Bush. So
Right.
kinda-
But in the movie, there wasn't any abruptly oh, you can't get an abortion, very
No.
Yeah.
dramatic parts.
She
but
just
it does
decided she doesn't want to.
It definitely felt slightly pressured with the biological clock
Yeah,
ticking
definitely.
line.
Yeah, and it's a creepy line the way he says it, and then we get to a very weird homage because it's like she has
Yeah.
imagination moments in this movie a
Yeah.
lot, and it's her. It's like an homage to this 1920s comedy movie Safety Last, where she's hanging on a clock.
Oh, yes.
And like she's looking down, she's like, I'm gonna fall, and it's her biological clock.
Yeah.
Ticking.
Very weird place to like throw a Harold Lloyd shout out in, but okay, Amy Heckerling, we appreciate that you're throwing some care into this movie at least.
Yeah. She's like, all of the people who are watching this are film buffs.
Yes,
So
this
Clearly.
movie's clearly targeted to the Criterion crowd.
Obviously.
There's a Criterion collection of Look Who's Talking coming out next week.
yeah. Oh boy.
But
So yeah, dream scenes, falling off the clock, biological clock ticking,
yes,
and then
pregnancy montage.
this is when I figured out that the baby voice is Bruce Willis, because I didn't know that Bruce Willis was voicing it. Because again, I have to think like, this is after Die Hard? Is
Yeah,
it
this is around Die
Yeah.
Hard.
around that? Hold on.
don't know.
We
I
gotta
don't
fact
know.
check
I think
it.
Die Hard was like 88.
So it would be after. Or
Because
maybe.
Die Hard's an 80s Christmas movie, so 88. So this was right after Die Hard.
Yeah.
So it's like right around the time, it's like just before or during the transition when Bruce Willis goes from comedy actor to action star.
Yeah, and
Because
this-
before Die Hard, he was mostly known for comedy at this time.
Interesting, I
So
didn't know
like
that.
when I listened to his voice, I'm like, who is that? And then I saw it was Bruce Willis. I'm like, oh, it kind of makes sense because this is like the trail end
Yeah.
of his comedy career.
Bruce Willis doing comedy is like the funniest thing. To me.
He's on like a TV show, like Moonlighting or something. like
Nowadays,
that.
he's maybe the least funny person to ever exist.
So I watched this Netflix series called like it's like the movies we love or something, or
The movies that made us.
the movies that made us. And there's a Christmas. No, it actually wasn't a Christmas series. They should have put Die Hard in the Christmas episode because there are Christmas episodes.
But you know what this movie has?
Bruce Willis.
Well, besides Bruce Willis, a great soundtrack.
Ah, yes.
does.
The music
I
in this
noted
movie is
that.
really
Yes.
good.
It is
a
good.
good soundtrack.
Yes.
And it makes me wonder, like, they had to like reach out to all these artists
Yeah.
to like get their music, and the Bee Gees
Yeah,
has Staying Alive in this.
I know. That was
And
good.
this is coming after Staying Alive. And I'm just thinking, like, you know, hey, Bee Gees, we got another John Travolta movie. Want you to do music for? And they're like, oh, fuck, not this asshole again. And that, because, you know, Staying Alive, they dropped out.
had to
due
quit halfway
They had to quit halfway due to creative differences. So when they hear, okay, boys, we got another John Travolta movie, let's look at it. And they look it up and they're like, the fuck is this? And they're like, I don't know what the,
Sure, use the Stan Alive song. We out.
and it's like, just let them be stayed alive. That's good. That's good enough for us.
Yeah.
They grabbed their check and left.
You know, Amy Heckerling is very good with music. Fast Times, Clueless.
Yeah.
She knows how to integrate a song into the
Yeah,
text.
for sure.
And I think this movie soundtrack actually pulls it a lot of the way. It does do a lot of work in making some scenes work.
Yeah, I think it's like it makes 60% of the movie for me
Yes.
because the rest of the 40% is just kind of. I think you two like this movie. I do not like this movie.
Yeah.
I lost my mind partway through this movie.
No, I lost my mind during this movie, but I loved it all the way.
I just love it.
I just-
If,
just love
if
it.
every
I would.
family comedy
I
were
just
this
love it.
bonkers, we would be in a better place nowadays.
I just love it.
Maybe, but I don't know.
We should exclusively be making movies for families that are this and Paddington. Those are the only movies
I
that should
love
exist.
Paddington.
Who doesn't love Paddington?
So good.
Paddington's my best
It's
friend.
amazing.
Along with the T-Rex from Jurassic Park and
my best friends.
Uncle Bob from Urban Cowboy.
Well, Uncle Bob died, so he's no longer my best
Aw,
How'd he die, Jeff?
Sad.
friend. He exploded.
Sorry
He
about your
exploded.
friend, Jeff.
Yeah, people should go listen to the Urban Cowboy episode when Jeff wept for Uncle Bob.
I did actually start crying.
He actually started
So-
crying on the
Oh my God.
on mic.
Yeah, but
The only time I've seen Jeff cry,
yeah.
and like I know Jeff has gone through a lot of pain and hurt in his life, but the
Yeah.
only time I see him cry is when Uncle Bob dies in
Wow.
Urban Cowboy.
I mean, it was his best friend.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
But there's a little pregnancy montage.
It's
I'm,
around-
I'm just trying to speed through all this stuff because we got to get to we got to get to when this baby's out of there. When this
I
movie
wrote
really starts
down
cooking.
during this pregnancy stuff, I can't focus on the plot of this movie. Like, I wasn't paying attention to, like, I don't know if there was dialogue said that was important to remember for later on,
I don't think so.
but, like, I just wrote down, it's like, as soon as the baby, the fetus, Bruce Willis started talking, I was like, everything else is tuned out. Everything is tuned out.
So she's like taking these classes about how to, have a baby.
Yeah.
Reading a book.
The Lamont.
She's reading, the Lamont's breathing exercises.
Wearing that adorable pink fuzzy cardigan.
Yes.
Yes, so cute.
She's reading the Dr. Spock book. There's a really fun reference about that later that I'll talk about.
Yes.
And she's like building baby furniture. I thought that was a fun little detail, how like frustrating building like baby stuff is. And she and her friend have like fun together, like hitting it with metal sticks.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fun detail about, the frustrations and the joys of going through pregnancy.
Again, didn't even focus on the plot of this movie.
But meanwhile, we're cutting into a little puppet fetus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, this is the same fetus that was shown at the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes,
I have sources that can back me up on this.
What do we think this fetus is? Is it a puppet? Is it made out of clay?
It's a puppet.
It's a puppet fetus.
It's very scary.
It is disturbing.
I did not remember how creepy this was.
All right.
I
So
was disturbed.
back to the family visual painting.
Yes.
So you're Dave, the 40-year-old salesman, with your 7-year-old Jimmy, 4-year-old Lucy. And you're
Dave
watching this
has now
movie.
downed 3 beers.
Yeah.
when we started.
Dave is now down 3 beers.
Mom has left the room.
Bob has left the room, and you pause the movie because you gotta go to the bathroom. And the kids are like, "Oh, Dad, come on!" And you're like, "I gotta go to the bathroom, kids. Sorry." You go to the bathroom. You have to go down this long hallway. Mm-hmm. It's dark outside. Maybe it's raining. And as soon as you go down the hallway, a door opens. Dry ice effect comes out, crawling, covered in ooze.
No.
Is this fetus puppet? And as it turns its head, you hear bones snapping and cracking. Hello, Dave. It starts talking to you, and then you're just petrified, frozen in fear as this baby
it doesn't-
crackles its bones
Does it
and
sound like
drags
Bruce
it.
Willis though?
Yes.
It's not like, hello, Dave. It's like, hey, Dave, what's up, huh?
You're fearful for your life. It crawls up to you. You've fallen down to the floor. This baby reaches up to your chest and then forces its hand down your throat, and then you black out.
Yes.
Back to the little who's still talking. I'll prep what happens in part 3 of my visual painting for you. In 2003, the Lamaze household.
Yes. But, so this thing, it's already terrifying.
Yeah.
It's even worse when it starts talking.
It's very sad.
Its mouth moves,
Yeah.
but it does not match
No.
Bruce Willis's voice.
No.
Right.
None of the mouths with the baby in this movie match the
They
things
never
that are being spoken.
match.
I wish they just had gone with like Homeward Bound voiceover, like
Yeah, where it's just like, it's like,
where they're just the animals are literally just like looking, and you just plant the voiceover.
yeah.
Rather than like, we're gonna try to make this baby say like nah, 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 and then just fit in the voices.
Yeah, it could just be like the baby's thoughts. Like, why
Right.
does the baby need to be talking?
Here's the weirdest thing about this movie to me. Like, it's called Look Who's Talking. The central conceit of selling this movie is that the baby talks. At no point in the plot, in the movie, does the baby talking have anything to do with what's happening.
Until the very end.
Even at the very end, you could cut out all of the baby dialogue, and this would still function entirely competently as a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just about a baby, and
Its whole bit is the voiceover adult voice.
And like, I was expecting this to be like the bit of this movie to be that John Travolta could hear the baby talking, but no one else could. I thought that was gonna be the bit.
No.
yeah, me too.
This movie's
It
just about
wasn't.
a baby who talks, and at the same time, there's a movie happening.
I think a really great description is, think of like Stewie Griffin in Family Guy, how he talks, and
Yeah.
only Brian can understand Stewie, and like all the other
Yeah.
adults in the
It's
household.
like if Stewie
just-
couldn't understand Brian.
Right.
We're Stewie. The audience is Stewie.
We are Stewie.
We are Stewie.
We're Stewie.
So
Yeah.
it is so weird to me that this is a movie that's like, yeah, the baby talks, and then nothing is done with it in the plot except for the fact that
we're
going to
get into how the title relates to this movie and all the other options that they went with, because
Yeah, this movie had other options.
this movie had other titles that they were almost going to go with that I
Oh.
am so upset they did not go with these titles.
Daddy's home.
Daddy Wanted. So let's just get there now. One of the original titles was Daddy Wanted.
Daddy wanted what?
Daddy Wanted what is right. Daddy Wanted was the original title of this movie,
Just
and it
imagine
just goes to show.
Oh, like a daddy wanted.
Yeah, like they
Yes,
need a
I get it.
daddy.
Okay, they need a daddy.
Imagine your
But if you don't know that,
Yeah, that's I feel like could you have sold it as a family-friendly film with that title?
Daddy Wanted.
Imagine you're walking down the street. You see a sign stapled
Doing
to
a
like
lot of imagining.
stapled to a like a electrical post, and you walk up to it, and it just says in big font, "Daddy Wanted," and below it's the picture of the fetus. It's like,
And there's number.
it's like, I need a father for this child. Here's my number.
And there's like number strips at the bottom. You can just pull and take off. It's like, hi, I'd like to apply for the Daddy Wanted position. It's like literally Mrs. Doubtfire,
Yeah.
but daddies.
But daddies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show the creepy nature of John Travolta's role in this movie, that they were originally going to go with Daddy Wanted, because it works both ways.
Yeah.
That they wanted a daddy, but also Daddy wanted something.
True. It really, if it was called that though, I really think it would have changed how I perceived the movie.
Yeah.
Because I know you're right that the baby talking really has no actual effect on
Yeah.
the plot. But that is how I think of the movie. Like, oh yeah, it's the movie where the baby talks and it's Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
But if it was called Daddy Wanted, I don't know if
Yeah.
that's what I would associate then with the movie as much.
Like,
What would the sequels have been called?
Daddy Wanted again. Daddy Wanted now. No, the baby talking in this movie is like, it's like Indiana Jones in the Indiana Jones movie, where if you took him out, the movie would have the exact same thing happen.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
take Indy out of Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Nazis get the Ark, open it, and they all melt anyway.
Yeah.
It does
Yeah.
not. He does not change the plot of that movie.
Yeah.
It's much like the baby talking. This does not change the plot of this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And yet
Weird.
it talks.
Yes.
And yet,
And I,
But first, it's got to come out, and that brings us to the next scene.
yes.
you know where we're at right now, Jeff?
Where?
We're at 45
Hell
minutes.
yeah. We are less than 19. We are less than 19 minutes into this movie.
Amazing. Okay. Are we going to talk about the store scene?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a
Yes.
quick little expositional bit that
Yeah.
she goes into the store, and who does she find?
Albert.
Albert.
And what's Albert doing?
Hooking up with his interior designer.
So sad.
I actually like this scene because I like the little bit where her friend is trying on a dress.
Yes, I loved that. Mm-hmm. Yes, so impressive.
But because she does, it's incredible how she does it. She manages
So
to slide that
impressive.
dress on and slide
Yes.
another dress off.
Oh, it was so good. That was crisp.
I
it
missed
was
that.
it was crisp.
It was crisp. It was good.
But I think there's a really fun conceit in this scene, and it's that she tries the dress on, and then Albert's designer also has a dress tried on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they all go outside to have a fight. Mm-hmm. And the movie needs it just to be Albert and Molly. Mm-hmm. And so, what's the idea? The other two of them wearing a dress. An employee comes down, and is like, "You need to come back inside right now."
Yeah.
Getting the two of them alone.
Yeah.
I think that's a fun way that Amy Heckerling
I
kind
was
of
just impressed
makes the
with how
scene
she
work.
put the dress on. It was really good. And I thought Kirstie Alley's overalls in the scene were
Yes.
very cute.
I mean,
Kirstie Alley dresses very well in this
Yeah, I
movie.
love the fashion
my
in this
favorite
movie.
part of that
Great.
whole scene where she catches Albert is, I'm going through a selfish phase right now.
She says, "I'm going through a selfish phase right now."
Like, Albert is a piece of shit.
Yes,
For
he
in case
sucks.
folks in the audience don't know already, Albert is a piece of shit, which makes me more angrier towards the end of the movie when she actually like considers letting him be I'm getting ahead of ourselves, but I just
Yeah, he's not a good
he's a
person.
piece of shit.
No.
And anybody who gives this asshole a second chance doesn't deserve
Yeah.
one themselves.
Yes.
But after she walks out of the store, she walks away from, and she starts having contractions.
Oh boy, Bruce Willis.
Look who's coming! It's a baby.
It's Bruce Willis.
So she
I was
runs.
trying to make up like a Bruce Willis title movie joke, but I can't think of any other Bruce Willis.
Look who's Bruceing.
No, I was thinking of like, look who's dying hard, but I was like, that doesn't make sense.
No.
So I'm trying to think of another like Bruce Willis movie. Like, I can't think of other Bruce Willis movies besides Die Hard or The Expendables. Those are the only two that I could think
All I
of.
got to.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about another Bruce Willis movie in this podcast, Pulp Fiction. But
Later down the
then
road.
we get to see real Bruce Willis.
Okay,
later.
she's having contractions and a taxi. She needs to get a taxi.
Yep, she needs to get
Right?
a taxi.
And guess who's driving the taxi?
Hey, it's John Travolta.
With you, the sun is shining 24/7. 'Cause when we're together, it feels like we're in heaven. If it will get dark, you'll be my million stars. I know I can lean on you. Ooh, you catch me like a leaf falling from a tree. If I'll be a shooting star, you make a wish. No, I don't fake this kind of feeling. Never felt so real. My heart is long.
I'm gonna put music there when that happens.
His character's name is James Ubracchio.
It's totally Tony Manero. He just changed his identity. By the way, for folks in the audience,
Hey, my name's Jimmy Ubracchio, eh? Taxi driver in downtown New York, eh?
we talked about the sequel of Saturday Night Fever, Staying Alive, and we talked about how it's not really a sequel. This is a better sequel to Saturday Night Fever than Staying Alive is. And I have reasons.
There's a line later that we will talk about.
There's a line there that we'll talk about, but also it makes sense that Tony Manero, after trying his luck out on Broadway, he doesn't do very well, just becomes a cab driver.
Yeah.
And so he changed his identity because he was too embarrassed, couldn't face up to the mistakes in his life that he made. So he changed his name to James. What was his last name?
Ubracchio.
Ubracchio.
Is that how you, Marygrace, you're like in Italian culture.
Yeah, I didn't notice what Ubracchio.
Yeah, Ubracchio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds right. I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't notice what his last name
I
was.
wasn't sure if I wasn't sure if it'd be Ubracchio or
Ubracchio? I don't know.
It's Tony Manero.
Tony.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's Tony Manero. Let's just call him Tony Manero for the rest of the podcast.
He eats subs a lot.
He does eat subs a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, he picks. There's a car chase.
Yes.
Yeah.
He appears 19 minutes into this movie, of which he is top billed, and then engages in what looks to be a fairly expensive car chase.
Yeah. Well,
He's like, I gotta get you to the hospital. You're having a baby. Yeah?
having a baby.
And she's like, can't you learn how to drive? And he's like whipping around and doing donuts and like flying over through construction zones.
Right. Yeah.
He gets her to the hospital
Yeah.
and rushes her in. And they're like, yeah, you need to wait your turn. She's like, it's coming.
Yeah. This is like, there's a lot of these bits in movies where it's like, woman who's in labor goes to the check-in desk of the hospital. It's like, you need to fill out some forms. She's like, fuck the forms. And it's like, oh, okay. And it's like, in real life, does that, I don't know. I haven't had a baby. So like,
I also have not had a baby, but I
Right.
don't think that's
I don't think
normal.
either of us have had a baby. So,
No,
but
nobody here has had a baby.
for our audience who has had babies, when you are in labor and you go to the hospital, is there a period where you have to like sit in the check-in desk and fill out some forms?
I would imagine they probably get you in and then someone else can do the forms.
That's
Yeah.
fair. But I've never known anybody to have a baby as fast as people have babies
Right.
in movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
it
your
is
water
always-
breaks, you go, like it's contractions start, but they're not that painful in
Yeah.
the beginning. So it's like this thing where they always go, and then it's like,
It's like you're in the
baby's
car
coming
and
now.
it's like, we got to push right now.
That's like, I don't think that happens very often.
I don't think we have to push right now. It's like, no, we got to push. It's like, no, we really don't have
You
to.
know-
It's like,
No.
no, push.
You know what's different between a real pregnancy and this one? In a real pregnancy, the baby doesn't really know what's happening. It's like, I'm sliding out. In this one, Bruce was like, hey, there's a hole in the floor. I'm going to crawl through it. He's like, I see a light.
Well, when you think about it, if he was a normal like pregnancy, then it'd be a hole in the ceiling because he's upside down. So he'd be looking up and seeing the light.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Well, he looks
But
down.
I was a breech baby, so I was upside down. So I would have seen a hole in the floor.
Yeah.
But
So you
that
were
was
like Bruce
dangerous to deliver babies through like breech. That's why they had to do a cesarean.
Begin the cesarean.
Forget the cesarean. So I was a C-section baby.
We're not just being weird. Okay, boy
Yes,
in the plastic.
yes, yes,
Begin the
yes, yes,
cesarean.
Begin the cesarean.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Yes.
So-
Just want to make sure we
appreciate you
we
trying
didn't
to
just
keep me in
sound
the
like
loop, but I did know.
creepsters.
Actually, fun fact, Jeff and I have just always said cesarean like that. Whenever we're talking normally and then randomly in conversation, like cesarean comes up, we just always come up with that.
This
accent.
whole segment has me like remind me never to give birth. Like, this looks like a negative experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And then John Travolta gets like dragged into it,
Yes.
kinda.
Yeah. Well, no, he's concerned about her.
Oh,
And so rather than
no.
he doesn't get dragged in. He chooses to do this.
I missed this because I remember thinking, I was like, how did this happen that
He's like, should I call your husband? And she's like, an artificial insemination. And he's like, I gotta make sure she's okay. So he puts a doctor's outfit on. He puts like nurse robes on and pretends to be a nurse in the room.
I don't think that's what he's doing. Don't they give people that stuff?
Yeah, I
if
think
you're
they just
gonna-
give like the dad
that.
that
Yeah.
attire so
Oh, is that
they're
what happens?
sterile and like
Yes,
they're not
I don't
like
think it's trying to be a
contaminating the
nurse.
room.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Because he does grab a doctor at one point. He's like, hey, give this woman some things.
He does do that,
So,
yes.
theory, like John Travolta, kind of a weirdo. Okay.
Okay.
or Tony Manero.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm gonna tell you something right now.
And-
Stuart, John Travolta said about this movie, this is the closest character to his real life that he's ever played.
So
He said that he's never
So-
played another actor in his life.
So-
He's never played another character as much like him as this guy.
okay, fun fact about like actors in their roles. Meryl Streep would say that when one of her like techniques would be when she's coming up with the characters, she comes up with a secret that she doesn't tell anybody, not even the director. I have a theory that John Travolta came up with his own persona of this actor that he didn't tell anybody, except for whoever wrote this fucking shit down, where he said it's actually me all along.
He said that in an interview. He
Yeah.
said this is the closest
He
I've ever
said,
been.
I am playing
He's like, this guy's a fun,
myself."
lovable goofball like me.
Fun, lovable goofball. No, this fucking creep like sees a woman who's pregnant and then gets daddy fantasies, and it's like, I think I'm just gonna wiggle my way in here and like try to get into their life and try to become a dad and try to, you know, because I think he's weird, and I think
He's a little weird.
he just like snuck right into that delivery room and nobody's asking questions because it's all a hectic environment right now, and so yeah.
I think he sensed that the baby was a reincarnated L. Ron Hubbard.
Yes, because now the baby's out,
The baby's out.
and
Well, we missed the-
still hear the voice.
We missed the pain med scene. There's just a funny moment when
yeah.
she's like asking for pain meds, and
The
it's like,
demon voice.
well, she's like, fuck my breathing. But also when he gives her pain meds, and then the baby's like,
The
whoa.
baby's high.
The baby like starts
Yeah.
tripping. And I just imagine like in whatever recording studio they have Bruce Willis in doing the baby voiceover lines. And this, you know, the agent sent him the script, and it's like, hey, Bruce, this is a really weird movie, but you just did Die Hard. I'm sure you're going to get something after this. Just do this movie right now. It's like, all right, fine. So he's going through the script, reading the baby voiceover lines, and he's like, hey, Amy? And Amy like pushes the talk back buttons like, what's up? What's up, Bruce? It says that I'm supposed to pretend I'm tripping. It's like, yeah, so basically the doctors gave Kirstie Alley pain medication, so naturally Mikey is also feeling a little high. It's like, okay, like how high are we talking? Is this like weed high or like psychedelic high? Like, what are we doing? It's like, I don't know, just like make up a voice or something. And then when they actually recorded, he's like, whoa, this feels weird.
He's like, this is crazy, man.
This is a weird feeling sensation.
But they get him out.
To get him out.
And he's like, I don't like this. It's cold. But it's weird because we can still hear the baby.
Yeah.
But the baby, no one else can. No. It looks like a normal baby.
Can.
Now, I'm going to hand the floor to Marygrace here in a second. Because this is what I think when the Scientology stuff really kicks into effect.
Yes.
Because I looked up this afterward.
Yes.
And I read the theories.
You did. Do other people have this theory, not just me?
Yes.
I do not know this theory,
This is
so I'm
a
going in this
thing.
blind.
That the memories.
The memories, yes. Yes.
So do you want to
Sure.
elaborate on this?
So Scientologists believe that we like carry our past lives with us.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's not necessarily that you like remember specifically your past life, but I don't know how much you know about Scientology.
None.
But okay, they treat children I would call it abuse. Like they think that kids are adults. Like they think they're as mature as adults because they've had all these past lives. Right. So that would make sense to me that he has this like high level thinking in his brain going on because right, he has his past lives, and so he doesn't remember his past lives specifically.
And he has the
But
knowledge.
He has the knowledge from it, right? Okay, and then going deeper into it, okay, we have this movie that stars two big Scientologists, right? John Travolta and Kirstie Alley, excuse me. So I think that this baby is the reincarnated L. Ron Hubbard, right? Because of course L. Ron Hubbard would be born to Scientologists, like a Scientologist mom. And I know this isn't what the sequels were about, but I think the sequel should have been then about Kirstie Alley helping her child discover that he is the reincarnated L. Ron Hubbard. And this speaks to your theory about John Travolta and the baby's creepy relationship. It's because John Travolta as a Scientologist is like, well, of course, like this baby is very mature and like blah, blah, blah. Like he maybe can't hear him, but I think he senses his like thoughts because he's like, well, yeah, you're a baby, but like I know that you really know what's going on because you've had all these past lives because we're Scientologists and that's what we believe.
To my knowledge, the point of Scientology, like
Wait a
minute!
And like
Wait a fucking minute!
the point of like Dianetics is like the Scientology is like your life's pursuit is to unlock these memories.
Those past lives. Yes. So that too, when he's an adult, that could have been one of the sequels too, for him to figure that out.
And so
yes.
the babies, it's the internal past lives
Yes.
that they're trying to unlock.
Yes,
within
and then it
him.
makes sense too that all the other babies can speak too, I think, and have all those high level thoughts, because that's what Scientologists would believe. So I think
Now-
too that would speak to why Kirstie Alley and John Travolta were like, this movie sounds great. This is why I want to be a part of this.
Now,
like,
according to a brief search I did, around this time, Amy Heckerling and Bruce Willis were also dabbling in Scientology.
I mean,
they did not.
this is Scientology propaganda.
They were not people who stuck with. Neither of them stuck with it. But they were dabbling in
Hence
the
why
time.
the sequels don't follow through with this. But
I need a moment.
So look who's talking.
look who's talking, L. Ron Hubbard.
All right, so all of
Stuart looks completely broken.
all of my previous conceptions and ideas and theories are just
Yeah, Stuart, you might as well just close your notes because
honestly,
we're not talking about the same movie anymore.
Honestly, you're right. You're 100% right. There's nothing more I can contribute to this conversation. That broke me a little bit.
He's actually closing.
Yeah, literally closing it.
Okay.
Yeah, this movie's about the search for your past selves.
Yes.
So can I, just to address that, like, because I was watching this trying to think of theories of like, there has to be like some weird ass screenwriter backstory that they know the audience isn't going to understand, but they understand in relationship to the baby having adult thoughts. And I was having that like kind of idea of like, where does this come from? Like why this idea? Like, why is this the premise? And then I read the whole trivia thing about Amy Heckerling, like whose husband was making voices or whatever. And I just thought like, well, like philosophically speaking, if we all are born with this adult voice in our head, does it ever go away?
No, because that's your life's pursuit is to use
But
the
when
Dianetics
you-
to unlock it.
Exactly.
So you mean to say that we have our own internal thoughts that we can hear, just our own internal thinking. But then on a different plane of dimension, there is a secondary internal thought that is a different voice than our own, that is a past life that is speaking like an internal thought that we're having going through our everyday lives that we cannot hear or sense or feel.
Yeah,
Because we haven't-
subconscious.
Yes. Yes. And multiple of those often.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the they're buried there and they inform your life, and the goal is to make it not subconscious, but make it conscious. But yeah, that's what this
We should
movie's
just
about.
continue because I'm
Okay, so L. Ron Hubbard is out.
Yes,
Our-
the
Very
baby's
wrinkly and confused.
the
L. Ron
baby's out,
Hubbard.
very confused. He wants to go back in. They name him Mikey,
Yep.
Yeah.
and then she's home.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis.
Oh yeah,
is still-
we see all the babies talking to each other.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm cold. I'm gonna go back inside.
Well, that was what like kind of made me think originally about like how long do they have these voices in their head? Because before I knew about this whole Scientology thing, my thought was like maybe like that's the voice in our head we start off with, and then the moment we speak our first word, that voice goes away, and then our internal thought fills in the
Yeah.
gaps.
Yeah.
Well, it is to my knowledge that Bruce Willis is not in the third one of these movies.
The third, but he's in the second one.
Yes, he's in the second one, but in the
What happened to him in the third one?
I believe the kids are talking by that point, and
So there's no
So
adult
there's no
voiceover.
yeah.
adult
So I
voiceover?
think there's about a basis for what you're saying, that the voice of your past lives disappears when you learn how to speak, and you got to get it back.
You have to get it
Because a
back
baby
with
is the
Dianetics.
purest form of a human. It's like brand new.
No, it's not. They shit everywhere.
That's why I said pure. I didn't say best. Pure chocolate tastes like shit, but it's still the purest. I was drawing a comparison between babies and pure cocoa.
Okay, so we're home from the
Yeah,
hospital.
they're home from the hospital.
We are an hour and 10 minutes into this.
Hell yeah.
So I this is gonna be mean, but I don't think the baby actor. Now, when the baby's older, the baby's cute, but like
Yeah.
the beginning baby, I don't think it's that cute
It
of a baby.
looks a scary amount like Bruce Willis, and that's my
Yeah,
problem. I
it's
look at it and
awkward.
I see like a de-aged Bruce Willis.
Yeah, it's weird. Not into that
Yeah,
baby actor.
Scientology, man. Who knows? Who knows what they're capable of?
But
You did this to me.
yes. But the next day he comes by her apartment. There's a lot of
Why?
there's a
Her
lot
purse back.
there's a lot of boob humor around this part in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's like there's like at least 30 jokes about boobs at this part in the movie.
It's not the worst boob joke though. Is
Yeah.
later on in the movie.
Yeah.
We'll get there, I guess.
Because she
Yeah.
like
Oh, I
her,
know what you're talking about.
her
Yes,
breasts
that was
her,
maybe uncomfortable.
her breasts swell.
Yes.
Yes.
And she's like trying to fit a dress on. And then John Travolta, James walks into her apartment. And he's like, "Oh, you got your figure back, or at least you got Dolly Parton's figure back."
This is the kind of stuff that made like this is why I was shocked that a woman made
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
When you said that, I was like, really?
And
I'm getting my notes back out just to follow the plot.
and she's like, "Yeah, I left my purse there. Why are you here?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I guess I'll just leave this." And she's like, "Oh, you left your purse in my car." And so she takes it, and then she's like, "All right, you should leave." And he's like, "Okay, and I'm a nice guy. Yeah, I'll you." He wanders off. He leaves. I can't remember specifically what happens, but he leaves.
What
Yeah.
are you, with the Census Bureau?
Yeah, there's a line like that. And then she goes back to work with the kid, and she decides she needs to get a daddy for this kid. Hence, daddy wanted.
Daddy wanted.
And she has some imaginary like dates with guys. One of them looks a lot like Martin Scorsese, and I was really thrown off.
Wait, were the dates
Oh, yeah.
imaginary?
No, they were real.
I thought they were real
According
dates.
to the Wikipedia, they're imaginary.
Oh, I thought they were real dates.
I thought so too, but Wikipedia is like her imaginary date. I mean, it could just be some guy.
Well,
on
no,
Wikipedia.
she imagines a life with the husband she's going on dates with.
Yeah,
They're-
but the actual dates I thought were real.
Yeah.
because their names are Mr. Anal and Mr. Let me find it.
I still thought they were real.
Mr. Anal.
Yeah, Mr. Anal and Mr. Like I'm trying.
What's funny, Mary Grace?
Mr. Impatience
funny?
and Mr. Anal. Those are their names.
What was the other one?
Mr. Impatience.
And what was the other one?
Mr. Anal. That was otherwise known as John Travolta's nickname.
I don't know why that's so funny.
Mr. Anal.
Not funny.
Why are we laughing at this?
I wish they would have called him Mr. Anal in the movie.
But he looks a lot like Martin Scorsese, and I was really thrown. He has like the eyebrows and everything.
Good thing
and I
he's
was like,
just called Mr.
I was
Anal.
like, did they get Scorsese for this? Oh my god! I was like, how did they pull that? I mean, he's in some weird movies. Scorsese, he's in like Shark Tale and
True. So they went. Okay, she goes on these fake dates. Also, you know what? I really liked her friend, and I felt like they kind of dropped the friend. Like
Yeah.
midway through
Yeah.
the movie.
what's her name? Julie.
Julie.
I think that's her name. But yeah, she's dropped much too early.
Yeah, I really enjoyed her.
Yeah. When does Travolta start babysitting?
So she runs into him in her lobby, and he's like
Stealing mail? Or...
he's stealing her mail.
Why?
He's getting stuff sent to her apartment because he's trying to get his grandfather and some old folks
yeah,
home.
and
or
I didn't
something.
understand that.
You need to be a citizen
He
of
needed
New
to be a
York
citizen,
City.
and he's not. So he was getting stuff sent to her apartment and pretending it was his address.
You know why he's not a citizen in New York City?
He lives in his cab.
Because he lives in Brooklyn. Is that New York City or is that a
Yeah,
neighborhood?
that's part. Yeah, it's one
Isn't
of the.
that
That's
part-
one of the. That's one of the five.
One of the five boroughs.
Yeah, you know.
I just didn't know if there was a different
Like a
zip.
fist.
I just didn't know if it was like a zip code. I'm not from New York City.
You know,
all people.
it's not like John Travolta's ever done another movie where he talks about the boroughs of New York. It's not like we're ever going to cover that movie. It's not like I'm wearing a shirt of that movie right now.
I'm reading his shirt.
It's not like he's ever talked about,
wasn't- it was a gift
it's not
for
like
me.
John
Jeff,
Travolta has
that's
ever talked
not-
about Queens.
No,
He's never
no,
talked about Brooklyn.
No.
He's never talked about Manhattan.
Moving
He's never talked
on.
about Staten Island.
Come on.
He's never talked about the Bronx.
No.
Okay.
He's never
so-
talked about how it makes a fist, you know?
Okay, wait. I'm gonna backtrack for a second. Can we talk too about when she's talking about the ideal dad and how low the bar was? She was like, he needs to have a job and not do drugs
And not be an alcoholic.
and not be an alcoholic.
And then her friend is like, he's got to be good looking. It's like, that is the least important
no,
thing.
not at all. Yeah. Okay, so we're in he's not stealing her mail, but he's getting mail sent to her address.
Yeah.
So they run into each other. And that's when he makes a deal with her that, can I keep using your address if then I watch the baby? And then he kidnaps the baby.
Yeah, he kidnaps the baby.
The baby.
So first off, dumb decision by Molly, just like this guy who gave you a cab ride to deliver your baby and then dropped off the purse. Like, he seems trustworthy to watch over my baby. Yeah, totally. And then John Travolta is just like, yeah, I'm sure the mom won't freak out if I steal
the baby
from your home.
Yes.
I think this is around the part where
Jeff talking to the mic.
I think this is around the part where she's reading the Dr. Spock book, and she's like, Dr. Spock says it's very important for kids to have two parents in the house and all that stuff. And he's like, I can't believe you get so bent out of shape about a Vulcan, which is funny because Kirstie Alley plays a Vulcan in Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan.
I did not know that.
She plays Commander Saavik, who is like Spock's successor on the Enterprise in Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan. Kirstie Alley does not come back for the two sequels where Saavik appears, played by a different actress. But she's in that one, the best Star Trek movie. So I thought that was a fun reference.
And then she goes to take a nap.
Yeah.
And John Travolta
kidnaps the baby.
Her baby.
And brings him to the airport and is like, yeah, can I take a plane?
And then we get the worst boob joke in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where the baby is like looking at the boobs.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, you want to get at that too? Like to the baby.
Yeah.
Very unnecessary.
It's like, what you looking at? And he says, lunch.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Like,
very disturbing.
yes.
But John Travolta is apparently also a flight instructor.
Yes.
John Travolta is a big time aviation enthusiast in real life.
In real life. Okay.
He owns a Boeing, a massive Boeing.
All of this, the fact that he thinks this character is the most like himself, really, I think even speaks more to the Scientology theory.
This movie is such it is shocking he was not involved in the writing of this movie because it's very Scientologist.
Yes.
He's a pilot.
Yeah.
And he, in quoting him, is playing himself.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm having a hard time keeping up.
Okay.
But he can't get any flights that day, thank God, because he has a 2-month-old baby with him.
Yeah. Lord knows what was going to happen.
And then
he's probably going to hand the baby the controls, be like, you have a past life. You should be able to fly this plane.
Yeah. What if the twist was that she was had the Wright brothers in his head? What if that
Mikey starts driving?
He starts flying the plane.
Flying the plane. Or, it could just have been a newborn baby and crash the plane and die.
That too.
And
yeah.
What a twist that would have been.
Is this when he goes to see his grandfather, then played by Tessio?
Yes, he brings the kid to see his grandfather, played by Abe Vigoda, who is Tessio in The Godfather.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably his best known. He's also best known for dying 3 times. It was.
I don't
know about that.
There was a whole bit about Abe Vigoda because he's been old forever since 72 when he played Tessio. He's already old in that movie.
Yeah.
He lived to 2011 or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was reported on 2 or 3 separate occasions in major news that he had died when he was still alive. Over the 30 years he was still kicking. Mm-hmm. And he would just start going on late night talk shows impromptu the night that it was announced he had died. And he was just like, yeah, I'm still here, still kicking. To the extent there was a website form called Is Abe Vigoda Dead? And it was just the word no. And then the day he died, it just changed the word yes.
Wow.
Jesus.
But it just became a recurring bit that Abe Vigoda was still kicking, even though multiple times the news had reported his demise.
Interesting.
Okay. It's funny. But he's good in this movie. I like it. I like Abe Vigoda.
So they go to see him. This brings me, I have another question to ask you guys. So we go to see The Grandfather, and he's watching It's a Wonderful Life, which I love It's a Wonderful Life, and I would watch It's a Wonderful Life any time of the year.
Yes.
But that got me thinking. It never seems to be winter in this film. It always seems to be kind of like the same season, doesn't it? Like they're never wearing coats. Because I was like, oh, is it Christmas time? And then I'm like, that's clearly not winter because they're not dressed like it's winter.
Well, and Mikey clearly ages like at
there's-
least a couple years.
There's a wild time jump.
Okay, that was another thing too. Is does he the actor clearly is like 2 at least, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Well, there are 4 kids that play Mikey.
Oh,
And
Are they
this-
quintuplets?
I want to track down all 4 of those.
Let's bring them on the podcast.
Bring them on the podcast, talk about their Mikey experience. One of them being like, bro, I was a newborn.
I have
Oh,
nothing
it
to
was
say.
probably 2 sets of twins. 2 for the infant, 2 for the like older kid.
I thought they had an in-betweener.
No, it's
There's
two-
no
I
in-betweener?
don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
The kid's a baby, and then it's
2 years old.
because it's weird.
But is he though? Because wouldn't he be at 2? You should be
Yeah.
actually talking.
Talking.
You should be
yeah.
talking. So how old is the the actor's clearly 2,
Yeah.
but how old is the
Well,
baby supposed
and
to
if
be?
you look who is talking, it's not the baby.
No,
Bruce
no.
Willis. I think it's that they had to have a kid who was old enough that he could understand direction.
Gotcha.
Because he has to do a lot of like specific things.
Yeah. But so how old do we think the baby's actually supposed to be?
I think the baby's supposed to be like 1.
One.
The kid's playing it is 2.
That's what I think too. That the baby's only supposed to be like
He
1
is
years old.
sizable and he does not speak.
Yeah.
He just stares.
I mean, I just want to bring that. That was 1989. If the kid who actually played that 1-year-old was 2 years old, that would mean that right now that kid is what?
it's 31 years later.
Yeah.
31.
31.
So he'd be
31,
31
32.
years old. We
Yeah.
bring that.
Yeah.
We bring that. What's the actor's name? I think it's Christopher something.
We'll bring him
Or
in.
bring Christopher on. Christopher, if you're listening to this
I'm gonna look.
and you have memories of your time acting in,
Oh my God, it's Christopher Aiden, Jacob Haynes, Jared Waterhouse, and Jason Schaller.
so either one of those 4, if you have experience or
All-
memories from the time you were on Look Who's Talking, please
I'm
email
checking them out. All their credits, their only credits are Look Who's Talking. For like all 4 of them.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff talking to the mic.
All 4 of them, their only credits are Look Who's Talking.
Um,
I'm gonna do something a little weird right now.
what are you doing?
I'm gonna go to Facebook and see if I can find these. No, I'm kidding.
No, you're not. I can see the reflection in your glasses. You're actually on Facebook.
Oh my god.
But I do want to find these people and bring them on the podcast and talk to them about their memories from Look Who's
Look
Talking.
who's talking.
Because I bet you one of them would be like, yeah, like at one point when John Travolta and I'd be playing, and then the director would yell, cut, he wouldn't stop. He wouldn't stop playing with me. Like, you know that scene when John Travolta like hugs and puts his like hand over my head? That was unscripted. All that was unscripted.
Oh my god.
This is why I think John Travolta in this movie is a little weird.
A little weird.
Yeah. He's like moment by moment weird.
I mean, he is grade A creepo in that movie.
Okay.
In moment by moment.
So, what time are we at, people?
We're at an hour and 25
All right,
minutes.
let's get going. So
Let's
yeah,
get
they,
going.
they meet the grandpa. He's watching
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life. Does anything else really happen? Oh, I guess they have to get the baby. Like, does he just come home with the baby? I don't remember. How does that get resolved? The kidnapping.
Oh yeah, he just comes back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then this is when we do the age. He gets older.
Yeah, he gets older.
And he
It's
looks
a
like a
very,
toddler,
It's a very
but-
wild time jump.
He in that montage. Again, I'm sorry to go back to this, but the baby's fashion is on point.
Yeah.
The 90s baby fashion is so cute.
The baby is a star.
Like I love the baby.
The baby gives the
fashion.
best performance in this movie. I think.
Absolutely.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
But right after that, we get the Staying Alive needle drop, where it's like. And as IMDb helpfully reminds us, this is the 3rd time that song has been used in the John Travolta movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
The JT.
yeah, I wrote down Travolta.
Cinematic Universe.
JTCU.
I wrote down Travolta's best co-star ever.
Yes. This kid.
Yeah.
This is also around the time where they're at the playground and Mikey learns what a dad is.
Oh yeah.
He's like, why is that guy taking the other kid? And he's like, that's his daddy. He's like, what's a daddy?
Okay. I'm sure I'm gonna be alone here, but the part where he's actually talking to the other babies was my favorite scene in the whole movie. Like when he sees the little girl on the street and she's like,
stroller?
in the stroller. My haircut, like, do you like it? And he's like, I think it looks great on you. She's like, I don't know. I don't really know if I like it. My mom did it in the kitchen. I don't think it's really good. That's my favorite
Well, I
part of the
love
whole
it.
movie.
It cuts back to his reaction. The kid's obviously like, and his reaction goes blank for a minute. And it's like, I don't know if that was intentional in the movie,
but really-
or if the kid just lost focus halfway through a
What
take.
really weirds me out about the babies talking in this movie is that their mouths move
Yes.
when they
they're
talk,
not.
but it doesn't sync.
No.
So, like,
why?
in the adult lot, it must be like it's like apparently. This is something I was going to mention later, but this movie apparently inspired the creators of Rugrats and how to portray the Rugrats in that movie.
Are the Rugrats creators Scientologists?
Maybe classic but
Yes.
Oh no!
They totally are.
but because like in Rugrats, the adults only say like, when the or ooh gaga when the babies are talking, but they're having like sophisticated conversations, and so that's kind of the same logic as this: is that the adults just see the babies gibbering, but they all understand each other.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
It's very strange.
Anyway, so he understands what a daddy is.
Yeah, and he wants James to be his daddy.
He wants James to be his daddy.
He wants John Travolta as his daddy. I mean, don't
like-
we all?
Don't
Yeah,
we
he's
all?
like,
What John?
Who's among us would not?
Right.
I'm gonna say not me, only because of one thing. When there's like a scene when John Travolta is playing with Mikey,
Yeah.
and he almost plays with him too aggressively.
Yeah.
And I wrote down shaken baby syndrome because
Yes.
there's moments when he's literally like tossing this kid,
Yeah.
this 1-year-old presumably, in the air and like
Yeah.
shaking him around the
Yeah,
place.
it
And I'm
was a little
like,
much.
oh, dude, come
Yeah.
on.
yeah.
It's got brain damage.
So it's pretty much just like a lot of business at this point.
Yeah.
Travolta's babysitting.
Yeah, she's still going on dates.
Molly's still
She's
going on
trying to
dates.
sabotage the date.
There's a fun sequence where he sabotages the dates with that
Yeah.
one guy by telling him, she's an independent woman. She doesn't like it when guys hold doors open for her or pay anything. So,
Yeah.
so this guy like thinks he's doing the right thing and just like keeps slamming doors in her face and not paying for anything.
Letting her take all the bills.
Yeah. But Travolta's sabotaging her dates. And then he's like spending time with Mikey, and she's going to be like, maybe I like this JT guy or this James guy, but maybe I don't.
Is that
lot
when
of
they
drama.
almost have sex? Or is that later in the movie?
That's around then because she comes
Okay.
back up.
Wait, when do they go flying?
Before, right, that's like that same day. They like
Yeah.
go flying.
Because that's when he put your hand on my stick.
Yes.
And they make a joke that it's like not sexual, but she's like, "Oh my god, I'm flying! It feels so good." It's
He's like,
yeah,
it feels
it's
like sex.
feels like great sex. Like, oh, I wouldn't know that.
a family comedy.
A family comedy.
that I watched dozens of times
Yes.
as a young child.
But yeah, and then
So many people watch this as kids. It's insane.
That I did, Cassie did. I don't know anybody else,
Yes.
but me and Cassie
So-
did.
Yes.
going back to my visual painting
Uh-huh.
in 2003 with Dave Lamache
Yeah.
and his kids. So after Dave wakes up in the hallway from the baby puppets, he must have hallucinated all that, and he looks into his empty beer bottle and says, "I must have drank a little too much." So he wanders into the hallway, and he sees the kids, and they're watching John Travolta and Kirstie Alley's sex scene.
Oh my god.
He's like, "Oh no!" And he runs and like shuts the movie off, and he's like, "Daddy, why did the man say put your hand on my stick?" It's like, "Oh well, he was just teaching her to fly." It's like, but he said it was like great sex. What is sex?
All right, kids, time for bed.
Time for bed. All right, back to the movie.
I don't know how my mother let me watch this.
It's crazy, right?
Well, I was one of those kids that didn't ask a lot of questions because I like to know everything. So I would have just been like, I understand what's going on, even though
Yeah.
I clearly would not have understood what was going
Yeah.
on. And my mom let me watch a lot of things that were inappropriate, but she would just like not tell me what was going on. Like
Right.
she was very into Sex in the City, but first of all, she would only call it the city.
You only knew about the city.
Yeah, she'd call it the city. I was like, put on the city. And I just like the pretty. That's probably why I liked this movie as a kid, because I probably liked the fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just didn't ask any questions. It just went over my head. I don't know, but I don't know like why other people were watching this as a child.
It's to watch John Travolta and Kirstie Alley have sex.
I guess so.
And so during
so.
which said sex scene, things are getting heated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she starts imagining
Yes.
Their future.
It's
their
a very
future.
classist scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their future where because he is a cab driver.
And Travolta has a gut
Yeah, he has like a huge gut.
for whatever reason.
They're both like smoking like 7 cigarettes at the same time. There's like 5 kids all running around. They're wearing like wife beaters.
and she's pregnant with another one on the way too.
yeah, he walks in and he's like, "Here's dinner tonight," and he like throws trash on the table.
I mean, this is basically urban cowboy John Travolta.
Yes. This movie is
Like some good loving and food on the table.
so the implication of the scene is that cab drivers make bad dads, which is
Not a good
not a
stereotype.
great thing to say.
Not a great
But-
thing to say.
No.
I have to say, I was a Lyft driver for a hot minute, and I think I'd make a good dad. So this offends me.
I disagree with that, but no, you'd be a fine dad.
Thank you, Jeff.
I don't know you well enough, but you seem like you'd make a good dad.
I'd make a terrible father. I never even knew my father.
No,
Anyway.
you'd be great.
Thank you.
But,
appreciate that.
They,
she imagines
they kind
that.
of secretly she pushes him away and she
kicks him out.
She goes back to Albert.
She is wearing a bra in this, not a swimsuit
Yeah, she's
top.
wearing a real bra.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And she goes back to Albert. Also wearing a very cute dress when she goes to see Albert. She's wearing this like denim dress and like a matching headband.
Yeah.
Lots of matching headbands. I
Yeah.
love my headbands. Very cute. Very cute.
And so she is with Albert.
Yeah.
And he's a dick.
Yeah,
He's a
not,
dick.
He's not nice.
And then he wants to be involved in Mikey's life.
Yeah, but he won't marry her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So then cut to Travolta and Mikey are
Well, first
Playing
she
cards,
destroys
playing
the
blackjack.
she destroys Albert's office.
Oh yeah, and Mikey joins along.
No, that's later. That's later.
Oh, yeah, that
that's
is later, isn't it?
because she hasn't taken the baby to see
Oh, okay.
him yet. So that's
Yeah.
later. That's later.
So then it is Travolta and Mikey hanging around
playing cards.
Playing cards.
Also, isn't there a scene when Travolta is sleeping on the couch with Mikey?
Yeah, after
Yeah.
she comes back from the date because she's gonna like yell at him.
And isn't that like a dangerous thing to do? Is like sleep on the same
Probably.
couch with
Yeah.
a child because you can roll over and smother them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or just toss them off the couch.
Or just toss them off the couch.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, irresponsible
Yeah.
Yeah.
and dangerous.
Yeah.
But it's in the movie, it's like, oh, it's so cute.
Yeah.
Like sleeping with my kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't love that. And two, it's like he sabotaged her date, which wasn't nice, and then he left her apartment a complete mess. She's
Yeah.
gonna like yell at him, and then she's like, "Oh, he's sleeping with my baby dangerously. It's so cute. Just gonna forgive him."
Yeah, getting a little too comfortably close.
the most realistic to his real life he's ever played.
But so yeah, Travolta's with Mikey and Albert comes by.
Yes.
And Sue.
And a fight breaks
a fight breaks out.
Wait, for our audience who has not watched this, I feel like this is important too. Kirstie Alley told John Travolta that she was artificially inseminated.
Oh,
yes.
right.
So John, when this guy comes and he's like, "I'm the dad," like he's
You're
like,
the
"Who?"
sperm donor?
Yeah, he's like that. He's like, "What the fuck are you?" So
Sperm donor. Which I mean, in one case you could say, I mean, technically yes, I am the sperm
yeah, true.
donor.
I did donate the
Sperm
sperm.
donor through coitus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they fight in front of this baby.
And they get into a fist fight. He like shoves
Yeah.
him into a wall.
Yeah,
That's great.
He throws Albert out. He's like, "Hey, don't come back, eh?"
yeah.
Yeah.
Then Kirstie Alley comes back and finds her apartment destroyed.
Yeah.
And then Mikey is pushing an ice pack on John Travolta's face.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's like, good job,
He's
pal.
like, "Why'd you never tell me the kid had a father?" And she's like, some business. Like, it was a secret. He's married, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, she's like, basically, like, it's none of your business. And he's like, I'm the closest thing he has to a dad. And he starts to now. I think we can all agree Albert should not be in Mikey's life.
Yeah.
Right.
Can we
absolutely
all?
not.
Can we?
Yeah.
We can all. But
Everyone would
that
agree
is
with that.
not John Travolta's call,
Right.
to make.
Yeah.
He's like, he can't see this guy, blah 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 blah. He could maybe have a discussion with her about like, do you think it's right for him to be in Mikey's life?
Is he a great influence?
Is he a great influence? Blah blah blah. He just tells her, yells at her like, this
Yeah.
guy can't be, and
I'm a better father than he'll ever be.
I mean, I don't know. I wasn't.
It's like, John, you're
come
sleeping
on.
with my kid.
So yeah, they have this
so-
big fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he leaves.
he leaves.
And then she goes back to Albert again.
Yeah.
With Mikey, so he can finally meet his son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, before this, I wrote down not the R word from a baby.
Yep.
I was like, oh,
Yeah.
somehow worse than an adult saying. Hearing a baby voiced by Bruce Willis say the R word.
Yep.
Important note to all the audience. Of everything we described, the baby's talking throughout all of it. And you'll
Yes.
note that nothing we've said could possibly have been impacted by the baby talking.
No.
It's such a weird movie where nothing connects.
Yeah.
Yeah, she goes back to Albert, and he once again is like, I can't marry you. I'm moving in with whatever her name is. His, like, interior designer.
And she's wearing a very cute dress again.
Yes.
Floral, again, matching headband.
Yes. You also today posted on Instagram a little, like, fashion breakdown
did,
of what
yes.
you're wearing today to this podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah.
I know you guys can't see me, but I do look cute.
Yes. Audience.
Jeff has a certain T-shirt.
We have a
on
T-shirt
from
for a movie we'll be covering. In the
we will be
future
covering.
that I've been wearing for every episode of this show.
I just put on a red shirt and called
Yeah.
it a day.
Loser.
Thank you.
But yeah,
Not trying.
They destroy Albert's office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She like puts a wet diaper on his like stone carved
Yeah.
desk or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he starts destroying the office too with
Yeah.
her, Mikey, the baby.
He
And there's
picks
broken
Love that.
glass everywhere, and I'm like, this is not a safe environment for a child.
Yeah.
There's so many broken
There's
shards.
lots of elements of this movie
So-
that are not a safe environment for
Yeah,
this
we'll get
child.
to that too.
So she goes home, and she gets a phone call, and it's from the nursing home that Abe Vigoda is at.
Did we miss the scene where
we did.
Travolta is talking with Mikey and she's listening through the baby monitor?
Yes.
So, because that was the bit where he says, he's like talking through Mikey about being a dad and all that stuff. And
Yes.
he's like, it's like my grandfather would say, it's like, you know, if
Oh,
your
yeah.
friend would jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, would you jump off the Brooklyn Bridge? Something like that. And it's a nice little callback to Saturday Night Fever.
Movie
when-
features an odd amount of callbacks to Saturday Night Fever. There's
Yeah.
at least 2 or 3.
And that's why I think that he is secretly Tony Manero, who
Manero.
just switched his identity.
Makes sense.
Tony Manero as a Scientologist having the child.
I think
having
Tony
the
Manero was a
reincarnated Albert.
Scientologist from the beginning,
True.
all along.
Very true. I had thoughts about that scene that weren't about him being Tony Manero.
Yeah.
I love, first of all, that he acts like his father, grandfather, whoever, like made up that line about, you know, if you're trying to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge. He's like, I still quote that. My father said that. I still quote it. It's like, yep, a lot of people do.
Yep.
People have said that.
And then he also says the other piece of advice that his father gave him, that he's like, I still think about this. Like, this was so important. My dad was okay, but like these 2 things really stuck with me, was just like, don't hit women. It's like, wow.
Well,
Great role
if
model.
you watch the movie Urban Cowboy,
If you watch any of John Travolta's first like 7 movies, they all involve him beating women. So maybe he did have to be reminded about
yeah,
And
yeah,
this guy is the closest to John
Yeah.
Travolta, so maybe
this. Where he's
John
like,
Travolta
I had to
needs that
learn my
reminding.
lesson.
it's like don't beat your wife.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Urban Cowboy is a nearly 2-hour movie about John Travolta learning maybe he shouldn't hit his wife.
Yep.
Anyways. And that's why this movie was billed as family friendly.
Yes.
Right.
Because this is him learning.
It's him learning.
Yep.
So then
What
that's
was
when,
perfect? We talked about this. Was Perfect or Two of the Kind the first one where he asked for consent? There's a movie where it's a very marked change in how he portrays himself
Is
in
it
these movies.
Perfect?
I think it was Two of a Kind. Because up till that point, like
Yeah, it was 2 of a kind.
yeah, because in Staying Alive, he makes a point about how like he's changed as a person since Saturday Night Fever. Two of a Kind's the one where he's like, if you don't want to have sex, I'm not going to force you to, which is like a big change of pace from previous roles where he trying to like pressure it. And now he's like very firmly into his like dad, family friendly like Travolta mode, where it's like, you know,
Yeah.
you shouldn't hit girls, even though I did it for like 5 movies.
It's like, but James, I watched this one film.
You were really hitting
You're
girls.
really hitting women a lot.
Hit him on a mechanical bull.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
They destroy Albert's office,
Yes.
and then I love the scene afterwards where Mikey is blow drying. I don't feel like we get a lot of good scenes of Kirstie Alley and the baby.
Yeah.
There's a lot of focus
I
on John
agree.
Travolta
Yeah.
and the baby, and we don't get a lot of good stuff with her and the baby. Her baby.
Yeah.
I thought that scene was very cute when
it's
he's
because
like blow drying
it's
her
because
hair.
Daddy wanted.
Yeah.
Daddy wanted.
Daddy wanted.
Yeah.
Mommy's already
Mommy's
here.
all right.
Yeah.
She's, you know,
Mommy, we'll
whatever.
keep her. We'll keep her.
Forget about
Yeah.
Daddy wanted. Call this Mommy's here.
Mommy's here.
Yeah.
That's a horror movie with Octavia Spencer.
It's called Ma.
Oh, it's my mistake.
True. It is called Mom. So then she gets a call from the nursing home where Tessio, a.k.a.
Yeah.
John Travolta's grandfather,
Yeah.
lives. And they're basically like, and they're calling her because her address and phone number is their point of contact because they think that's where John Travolta lives.
Yeah.
And they're like, basically like, we're going to kick him out of the nursing home.
Yeah.
Because
He's been abusive.
He's been abusive to our staff and blah, blah, blah.
That's going to lead to something that I'm going to mention later, which
So they go to the nursing home.
Yeah, and Kirstie Alley just like talks to the manager and is like, "Oh, he needs to just have his candy in like doses instead of
Yeah.
all
Yes.
once." And they're like, "Oh, our mistake. It's the one you gave it to the guy who doesn't understand English. He can stay."
Yep.
Yeah, it solved like
guy's
really
like-
easily.
And then when she goes to like talk to somebody about it, she leaves Mikey with the grandfather who presumably has been abusive to the staff.
Yeah.
And I'm just
Yes.
like, oh yeah, I'm sure that's got my microphone.
And then Mikey wanders off because he wants to find James and ask him to be his daddy.
Yes. Oh, yeah, because James comes then, too, because I guess they must call him as well.
Yeah, he
I
like
don't
finds
know.
out somehow.
Somehow he finds out, so then he's there.
Folks, I just want to make a criticism. My arm is extremely sore right now. It just started really hurting from this vaccine.
From
I
your
just
vaccine.
Got. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Hey, fun fact for the audience: I just got the COVID vaccine right before coming
Yes,
here.
his first dose, and I'm getting
Yeah.
my second
And
dose
my
after.
Arm, and my arm is in like so much soreness right now.
You got
it,
the-
it literally just hit me in the past 10 minutes.
You got the Moderna, right?
I got the Moderna.
See, I got the Pfizer.
yeah,
Fuck
I got
you,
the
man.
Pfizer. Yeah, Pfizer Club
You
for
got-
life.
Yeah, it's because
Vaccine elitism.
vaccine elitism.
Fuck those people who get Johnson.
Guys, get whatever vaccine you
Yeah,
can.
yeah,
Yes,
whatever
yes,
vaccine
get-
you
But
can.
also, fuck Johnson. But that's all you got. Go
yes,
get it.
Yeah.
Yes, if it is deemed safe, we're encouraging all listeners of Travolting to go get your vaccines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
If you send us a picture of your vaccination card, I'll shout you out on this. I'll shout you out on this podcast.
Damn.
Wow.
Look at us doing good in the
Yeah.
world.
It's almost as good as a Krispy Kreme donut.
Which Krispy Kreme is offering free donuts if you show your vaccination card.
Yes.
So just go to Krispy Kreme, send us a photo. I'll shout you out on this podcast.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Anyway, back to the movie at hand.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention that because it just hit me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But
Do you want an ice pack?
I'd rather it hurt than me get COVID and die.
Yeah.
That would be not ideal.
Not ideal.
No.
But yeah, Mikey wanders off.
Yes.
He's like, "Where's James?" And he sees a taxi. He's like, "Oh, go follow that guy."
This kid's just wandering around a nursing home and
No one says anything.
Nobody says anything.
Nobody says anything. Nobody catches him.
No.
There's
I
like
will
some old
say,
woman
though-
who's like, "That's that guy's grandson, isn't he a cutie?"
Yeah.
I just a fun little story. I did get lost in Disney World when I was about the same age.
Correct.
We were watching the parade.
Gosh, this kid got lost.
And I was on so my mom was there, but it was like a big family thing. We all went to Disney World in Florida, and I was on like my cousin's shoulders, but then she like sat me down and put me like between her feet to like I don't remember what she had to do, and like as the parade went away, I wanted to follow the parade, so I started crawling towards the parade, and then my cousin looked down, I wasn't there anymore. So they lost me at Disney World for a solid 5 minutes, and then a
my
security
God.
guard found me and carried me to the woman who looked very petrified, which was my mom.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
you seem like a lady who lost her baby. And it's like, I found a baby.
Here you go.
Turns out it actually wasn't my mom, and I've lived with a different family
Yeah.
my entire life.
What if
So, anyway, kid
Yeah.
gets lost.
the kid gets in a car that's being towed by a truck?
Oh,
and
yes,
he drives off.
Because there
And
was
then
a
this
scene
movie-
earlier.
Yeah.
Has its second car chase.
Yeah, because there's a scene earlier where Travolta takes Mikey on a car ride, and he's like teaching him how to drive.
Yeah.
Very Scientology like oh,
Yes.
you're a kid, you should know how to drive because you have
Right,
all these past
absolutely,
lives.
exactly.
Which is why I thought he should have let him flown the airplane into the ground, but did it happen in the movie? Sad. But anyway, yeah, he gets in the car. He's like, oh yeah, James told me to do this, and the
Yeah.
car. There's a car starting sound, which isn't the car that's getting towed.
Yeah.
It's the towed truck.
Yes.
But it's like a fun little goofy thing, like oh, he started the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So gorgeous.
As this is all going on, I don't know how you guys felt about this, but I feel like John Travolta and Kirstie Alley were much too calm. I feel like Kirstie Alley freaked out about things that were much more minor
Yeah.
than this. She was just like, well, I guess we got to call the police.
She's like, I'm gonna call the police.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, you were like freaked out about things that were like way more minor than this.
And like, there's a kid, and we're gonna get to it later, but like, he's at one point in the middle of the street in New York
Yes.
City,
Yes.
and he's like, "Get out! Like, don't stop, stay there. And it's like, really? He's gonna
Yeah.
get hit by a car or something.
Yeah.
He doesn't get hit by a car.
No.
Part of me wishes he did.
That would
and
be-
the soul of Bruce Willis
Yeah.
from the kid.
Yeah.
All of his past lives come out of him at the same time.
And then it's just a close up on John Travolta's face on a crane shot that starts from a close up and then
Yeah.
backs up into a wide. And in that close up, John Travolta says, "The legends are true." And it backs up into a wide, cut to black. No music, just white text. Look who's talking. Credits ensue.
Yeah.
That's not how the movie
Look,
ends.
No, unfortunately
look
not.
who's Xenoing.
Yes.
Xenu, that's it, right? But yeah, they chase after. There's another car chase.
There's another car chase.
2 car chases in this movie.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And they $7 million budget.
Yes.
Damn.
I don't know how they. And then the kid like gets in the middle of the street and they rescue him.
Yeah.
I want to know how they film some of that stuff because that kid's in the middle of the street and there's cars driving around.
Are they actually moving?
Now, apparently they had a stunt double for the kid.
It looks like a kid still.
There's still
Yeah.
wouldn't the stunt double be a child?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming they might have had like a small guy in the as like the stunt double.
Oh, okay.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because there were some shots where like the kid is right next to like moving cars
Yeah.
that are going pretty fast, and like they could have just superimposed the kid in there or something, but it looks really dodgy if that
I
was
think
the kid. Real kid.
Amy Heckerling was being told by the producer, it's like, hey, I think the shot's a little dangerous. And then she's like, well, the kid has 5 past lives. He should be smart enough not to get hit by a car.
And the producer's like, "Ooh, we're making that kind of movie." Eh? But they rescue the kid, and James becomes his daddy.
Because the kid says, Dad, Dad.
Oh, he says, "Dad."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just like how Logan ends when Laura is
Like,
holding
"Daddy."
Hugh Jackman's dead body. And she's like, Daddy. And then, yeah. But John Travolta's not dying in this one.
Then the credits roll, and then there's a little bit after.
Yeah.
It's like
It's a
directed
little
by
bit
Amy
after.
Heckerling,
I
all
wasn't
that, all
paying
this fun
attention to
stuff.
this at all.
Yeah.
'Cause I was
Uh,
writing notes down, and
they-
then I was like, "Oh, something's happening."
They
And I
get
looked it
married,
backwards.
and they have another kid.
There's another
Oh, yeah,
insemination
yeah.
scene.
Yes.
There's another like scene with all the sperm floating about,
Of course.
and they have a child,
Baby sister Julie.
Julie, who in this is voiced by Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers.
Yes.
But for only like
Dot
one
from
line.
Spaceballs.
In the sequel, is it the baby played by Joan Rivers?
It is depressingly voiced by Roseanne in the sequel.
No. Oh, that's
Damn.
very upsetting.
Can I show you guys the poster for Look Who's Talking
Yes.
too? 'Cause
You can.
It's very funny to me.
I love it.
They made 3 of these fucking movies.
Mikey's
Mikey's
back.
back.
And look who he's talking to.
Mikey's back.
Baby sister Julie.
Daddy found.
Voiced by Roseanne Barr.
Daddy found. Guys, we never talked about John Travolta's hair because I did have thoughts.
Oh, yeah. The hair rating report.
The hair
Cue
rating
music.
report.
Cue the music. Have you? Oh, can I show while we're recording? I just want to show you like what we're
wait.
doing with the hair report.
Let's finish it and then show afterward because I know you have to get out of here in a few minutes.
Oh yeah, sure,
That's
definitely.
okay.
All
I'm
right,
just gonna take an Uber at this point.
the hair report.
Okay.
So-
I had thoughts right at the beginning when I saw him the first time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he looks like a dad trying to be cool. I was like, he looks like, I can tell he got older. He's not a dad. He's not like old.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh,
This is the John Travolta 89 to 94 aesthetic.
it didn't do it for me. I was like, they're trying to do something. They're trying to make him look cool. And
Yeah.
It doesn't look cool. is how
Yeah,
I felt.
I put this in the category of the regular adult John Travolta hair. So like in line with like Blowout and Two of a Kind
Yeah.
and all those kinds. So like Jeff, what's the ranking look like right now?
Right now, your number 1 is Staying Alive. Then you got Carrie, Grease, Saturday Night Fever, Perfect, Blowout, Two of a Kind, Dumb Waiter, Urban Cowboy, Boy in the Plastic Bubble, Moment by Moment, ending with Devil's Reign.
So it goes Saturday Night Fever, Perfect,
Yeah, Perfect,
Blowout, and then
Two of a Kind.
Two of a Kind. I would put this in between. No, I would put it below Two of a Kind. And what's below Two of a Kind?
The dumbwaiter.
I would put it in between the Dumbwaiter and Two of a Kind. I think it's better than the Dumbwaiter. The Dumbwaiter is just,
I'd have to look.
it's
Can't even,
bland
like,
hair.
see his hair in
You
that.
can't really see his hair in that movie. Yeah.
Which is why I'm amazed you put it above like 4 other movies. But
What did I? Oh, well, I put it above the long hair travesty.
Yeah.
Wait, so did you put Look Who's Talking before or after the Dumbwaiter Basements?
above.
I put it above,
Above, okay.
Dumbwaiter Basements. Yeah, I wasn't as passionate about the hair in this movie
Yeah.
just because there really wasn't a lot going on.
What's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do when he goes bald? Like, how are we gonna talk about the hair when there isn't any?
It's just disqualified.
Yeah.
It's just, John Travolta, you have a Scientologist obligation to show your, do they believe in God? Like a
I
God?
believe in Xenu.
Yeah.
Your Xenu given talent of hair.
Yeah.
And you shave it
Use your
off like
past
the
lives.
selfish mortal life you are.
Use your past lives.
Just going through a selfish phase.
He's going through.
Going
it.
through a selfish phase. Xenu
I'm
gave
going
you
through
great
a s-
hair. Use it.
I mean that it's actually a pretty funny line delivery by George Segal, and he's like, "I'm going through a selfish phase right now."
Yeah.
I do like how he delivers that line. It's
Right.
very over the top but funny. But yeah, that's Look Who's Talking.
That's Look Who's Talking.
We have done about an hour and 45 minutes so
Hell yeah.
far.
But here's a fun fact before I get into like the impact of this movie. Our episodes with guests always like go to 2 hours.
Yeah,
it's like
basically.
clockwork. But the fetuses in this movie, they were all puppets, as we said. It took
Yeah.
12 puppeteers to operate
Why?
the fetus. They needed to shoot the scene where he like plays with his placenta. They needed puppeteers for both every part of the baby and then
everything about
also the
that
placenta.
sentence.
The sperm were made of vinyl with tiny fishing weights in front.
Okay.
I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie comes out 1989. Travolta said when he saw it at the premiere, this was the first time he knew that one of his movies was going to be a major hit. Like
What?
Like he's always been like, I don't know if this movie's gonna be. He's like, I've been a misjudge of character in the past with my movies. I've never known if they're gonna be a hit or not. He said after he saw it in the premiere with the audience, he's like, this one's gonna be made. This is gonna be big.
Wow.
And he wasn't wrong.
No, he wasn't.
This movie, as a surprise hit, makes $12 million in its opening weekend, already making back its budget. It grossed $140 million domestic, $296 million worldwide.
And that's why they made three of
That
them.
is
I made 3 of them.
almost like
Wow.
that's almost like 50 times its budget.
I don't know why. I mean, clearly, I grew up watching this movie. I enjoyed this movie, but I'm shocked.
I
did not enjoy this
It was his
movie.
most successful movie since Grease, the 4th highest grossing movie of 1989. Topped the United Kingdom's box office. Spawned 2 sequels.
And these are the same people who fucking shat on Blowout. Like,
Yes.
get out of here, people from the 80s. You don't know what's good. Sorry.
Insane.
Wow. It's
Also,
fascinating.
as I mentioned earlier, this movie was influential on the creation of Rugrats.
That's exciting.
And
I do love the Rugrats.
something that I mentioned earlier that I didn't even think about until right now. Bruce Willis is in Rugrats. And he voices a dog. Probably because they let this movie and him being in it was
Wow.
inspirational for
love that.
Rugrats.
Wow.
Very exciting.
Yeah, this is, I think, maybe among the highest grossing movies we've talked about so far. Let me...
Stuart, as somebody who did not enjoy this film, why do you think that is? What do you think made this film
Why do you
such a
think this
success?
connected?
I think that this appealed to the religious family community a lot.
Okay.
In terms of its marketing.
This
I think-
movie's all about sex.
Yeah, and she's, has this baby out of wedlock.
Yes, and yes, but it is all about the obligations of being a parent and all about, the family unit and like how that should be structured. And I think it does follow a lot of inlines of what traditionalists usually think of.
So here's...
Because like, what if she decides, no, I think I'm just gonna be a single mom?
gotta
Would
have it.
people have gone to
Well-
see this twice
Is
and with their friends?
it
don't
not
know.
a
Probably
part
not.
of Scientology, the importance of the family unit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very
Yeah, isn't
big
that
thing.
like the whole bit?
But
with,
how
like-
many Scientologists are there in 1989?
Well, there's 2 in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. my only point was like, I mean, like evangelical
Oh, like,
Christian,
yeah.
like
yeah.
I think they all flock to this movie
Yeah.
because of its, personification of what the traditional family unit should look like. And I say again, I repeat that, if she got an abortion or if she chose to
Abortion, there would be a movie.
Yeah, it would,
Yeah, there
at
would
the
be
end
a
of the
movie.
movie. It would just be look who's
like,
not talking.
If she decides, you know what, John, you're just a good friend and you can
Yeah.
come over and be with the baby, but we're not going to get married and I'm not
Yeah.
going to call you dad. People would not have gone to have seen this movie twice, which is how you make as much money as it did, is that people see it the first time and then they bring their kids, they
this
bring their
movie is
family.
a 4-quadrant hit. It was appealing to parents.
Mm-hmm.
It was appealing to kids. Appealed to older people. There's nothing too offensive in this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just appealed to every like major market
Yeah.
when it came out.
Yeah.
I think
And-
everybody finds a baby who talks like
Yeah,
Bruce
funny.
Willis funny.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. This is, to this day, Travolta's 3rd highest grossing movie.
Wow.
His top 5 are Grease, Bolt, Look Who's Talking,
Love Bolt.
Austin Powers and Goldmember, and Saturday Night Fever.
Wow.
Those are his 5 highest grossing movies.
Not Pulp Fiction.
Pulp
Or-
Fiction is number 8.
I had no idea that I only figured out this movie must have been pretty popular when I was looking at his IMDb and I saw that there were 2 sequels. I vaguely remembered I think they made a sequel. But I saw there were 2 sequels. I was like, this movie must have made money.
Yeah.
And it did. I have to say, even as somebody who enjoys this film, I'm pretty shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought this was one of those like really weird films that like kids with weird parents in the 90s, just watched. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought.
Yeah. People went and saw it multiple times.
No,
brought
people
their
really liked
kids,
it.
brought their friends, brought their parents. They're like, you guys got to watch this movie. It's so funny. There's a talking baby in it.
Yeah.
Random side thing, I want to correct myself from something I said earlier.
Okay.
I said Amy Heckerling directed both sequels of Look Who's Talking. She only did 2. She did not do 3.
What do you
I
Who
just-
did 3?
Some non-existent guy.
A man.
His name is
God,
Tom.
imagine how much worse. I feel like the third one has to be a man directed it. Like
Look Who's
it's already
Talking.
so
look,
bad.
Look Who's Talking.
Put a man in
Look
charge.
Who's Talking 3. Look Who's Talking Now is one of the only 3 movies that we're covering with a 0% Rotten Tomatoes. So we're gonna have so much fun on that one.
Wow. How much does this movie have on Rotten Tomatoes?
I think like 55. I think like 55.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right.
But yeah, this is a movie.
This is a movie.
This is a movie.
Did very well. Made 2 sequels. It kind of revitalized Travolta's career.
Did it?
It kind of did.
Did it?
Not like it made him a name again.
Marketable.
Yes, it made him marketable. He doesn't get like his critical rebound until Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
But in terms of the larger arc of his career, this is when people are like, "Oh, this guy can sell a movie.
Right. We can make money on his name.
We can make money on this guy," which partially is probably why the studio ended up letting him be in Pulp Fiction. So in some respects, this is the beginning of the Travolta-sance.
Yeah.
We just
Could
have to.
there have been a John Travolta in Pulp Fiction if there wasn't a John Travolta in Look Who's Talking?
Tarantino probably would have wanted it, but who knows if it did happen.
The studio would have been like, no, he hasn't made a good movie since a long time.
But that is to say, this is not the movie that fully saves him, as we still have some drudges to dig through over the next few weeks.
Is the episode right after this going to be Look Who's Talking too?
I think there was something in
no.
between.
The episode right after this is Chains of Gold. So you guys,
No idea what that is.
I think we've more or less kind of wrapped it up at this point. Does anyone have anything last thoughts about Look Who's Talking?
The Scientologist bit broke me.
Yeah, you book defeated.
I'm still recovering.
I'm sorry,
from that.
Stuart.
I don't think I have to go to work tonight, and that's just gonna be like, they're gonna be like over the walkie talking like, hey, let's lock it up, and be like, do you guys know the Scientologists? Be like, what? Yeah. So that's my final thoughts.
yeah. Marygrace, any final thoughts?
I don't think so. Not really. I mean, I still like the movie.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Yeah. Ending thoughts for me. I kind of like this movie.
Yeah, I think it's fun.
I'm not gonna say it's like high art or anything,
No,
but
definitely not.
I had fun watching this. I think it's I don't think it's like. I think it's well directed. I think it's kind of funny. Not the most unpleasant 93 minutes of my life.
No, definitely not. And
A gentleman's 6.
yeah, and as I talked about this a lot during the podcast, but the fashion really did it for me. I really enjoyed it. So if
Hats
nothing
off
else,
to the costume department.
Yes,
Did a
absolutely.
great job.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with that, Marygrace, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you for
It was a
having
real
me.
pleasure to have you in.
Thank you for having me.
Complete the Schumann women
Yeah.
duology.
My mom gave me one piece of advice. She said, before I came on, she said, I think during my episode I said wow too much. So don't say wow too much. And I found myself saying it quite a bit. I was like, oh, saying wow, a lot. Wow.
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 Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a duo episode of You and Your Mom one day.
Ooh,
We're going to have to find the movie about what that's going to be.
that
but
would be fun.
that could be a good one.
It's going to be 4 hours long, though.
Yeah, it is going to be 4 hours.
It's going to be 4 hours long.
You guys, hope you enjoyed the episode. You can join us next week for our episode on Chains of Gold, another movie that is extremely difficult to watch. I had to order a DVD. Stuart and I are going to have a great time talking about that one.
Yeah.
You guys can watch it if you want. As I always say, I encourage you to watch the movies that we watch. You don't have to. We'll try our best to keep it, accessible.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. Let me get my normal stuff you have to say. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe, especially if you like this podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. As a reminder, we are always available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. You guys can rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff on all of those. We want to hear from you. Use the comment section on YouTube if you got anything fun to say. You can also reach out to us at Travolting Pod on Twitter or Instagram. Pop into our Reddit, r/Travolting. Email any questions or comments to travoltingpodcast@gmail.com. Find me on Twitter at Jeff W. Sweeney.
Find me on Instagram at Stuart9Elmore95.
Marygrace, want to drop any plugs?
No, you don't. Don't follow me anywhere.
Copy that. Special thanks to Rebecca Johnson, as always, for our graphic design.
It's amazing.
Yes, the Staying Alive one dropped today. I think people are very happy about that
I
one.
love the Staying Alive
Yeah.
thumbnail.
And Michael Van Bodegum Smith for our theme music.
Can't wait to get that new version.
Oh, yeah, it's coming soon.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. See you next week. Have a great week, everyone, and get vaccinated.